Jeffrey.
Drum roll. We got to get Verhagen to do a drum roll.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's been a lot of news over the last few days. Vaughan's had a live stream. It was really interesting. It was really fun. Ray Powell, J Rod Photo Art, RS, Mr. Berwick upon Tweed. Man, that's just so classy. I have to say it, Ray. A cool day in Texas here. Well, it's a decent day in Connecticut for a change. Maybe spring has sprung, even though I'm sure we're going to get a couple of days that may not be great between now and May. Yeah, a nice sunny day in Connecticut, as Daryl says. It really is. It's really nice. Anybody that would like to join, of course, I'm going to throw that invite out there. The invites are out for quite a few people, but you're welcome to join as always. It's always nice to have a varied panel in here, but I appreciate everybody that's showing up now. Nick, how you doing? Jeff and Leslie, Wildlife Nature Photography. You can only stay about 15 minutes. Got to help a friend with the deck. All right, no problem, Jeff. Well, how you doing, Ted, Mr. ATR Bear? Ted, you got to join us for some of these, man. You're just going to have to bite the bullet and join us. Millerad, hello. Like I said, anybody's welcome to join, be on the panel here, and state your piece. Darren Francis, how you doing? Hey, has anybody seen the newly announced vlogging camera from Sony? What is it? ZV-E1. Yeah, ZV-E1. And I'll just cut to the chase here. It is a vlogging camera, pretty much. Well, I don't know if it could be anything more, but it is a vlogging camera. But they've gone full frame, taken the sensor out of the A7S III, which is a great sensor, by the way, especially for something like vlogging. I think it'd be great. And it's $2,200. Now, there may be people like me that don't need it, but want it. And I understand that. But, I think it's a hard push. $2,200 for a vlogging camera. But, I hope it sells well. I think Sony will sell those cameras. But anyway, if you want to check out the specs, jump over to B&H maybe and check out the specs. There are plenty of videos out already if you haven't seen any. It's interesting. I don't know where Sony's going with it, but it's interesting. That's for sure. Kevin, it does. It seems like a nice camera. I just wonder about the price. It's one of those cameras you have to want more than you need, I think. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, everything's expensive these days. Six String Brian. How you doing, Brian? Let's see.
To me, for the price point, without an EVF and strictly vlogging, that's a very pricey camera. I mean, I think you're paying a lot for the LUTs and things like that in terms of how you can edit the files and stuff, and that's where you're paying a lot of money too. So
well, yeah, and the sensor, I mean, coming out of the full frame sensor, of course it is an older sensor, but it's still a great sensor in the A7S III. But yeah, man, it just seems like it's quite a bit of money. Again, I don't see anybody that vlogs needing it, but there's nothing wrong with wanting it. If you want to pay the price, that's fine. J-Rod, some of us still have to work to pay your Social Security, meaning me. Yes. And thank you very much. I mean, I did pay in for a long time, so hopefully I had enough savings there that it's not a burden on you. Kevin, there is an invite in your email if you'd like to join. And Martin just finished work. We're all doing well, I think, so far. Martin, and again, you're welcome to join as well. Brian, if you'd like to join, just let me know. Again, I just like a full panel in here. It just keeps everything rolling, and there are lots of points of view. And we got a couple of things to go over today. One, the real topic is not the Z8, but I wanted to touch on that because, there's so much hype and so much discussion and everything going on. Because again, come on, man, you got to give us a break, us Nikon shooters. We haven't had anything forever. It seems like it's been forever since we've had any new news or anything about, all this tech flowing down into cameras that, people can buy. So you got to give us a break. We have to talk about it. Let's see. Hey, good. How you doing?
Maybe I should do a challenge and not shave my head until the camera comes out, and then we'll see if I end up looking like another YouTuber with a big head of hair,
Yeah. Oh,
if it takes that long, we're all going to be pretty pumped up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely want to say thank you very much to Hank DiNardo. Sorry, Hank, I didn't catch that. I didn't see the QR code come up. And let me bring in Kevin real quick, but I didn't see the QR code come up, but thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that, Hank. I really do. And again, you guys don't have to do that, but I definitely appreciate it. Let's see. All of our cameras can vlog. Yeah, absolutely. And I think they tried to define over on Simon's channel this morning when they're doing a live stream, and asked a couple of the guys that were in there, what is this true definition of a vlogging camera or vlog camera? And because there is no industry standard, and I think that's the way they asked it. Is there an industry standard for a vlog camera? And nobody could quote it. But what was I going to say here? All cameras can vlog. Of course they can. You're absolutely right, Hank. But I think for vlogging, everybody's looking for the small, compact, lightweight camera that can definitely, has decent video functions. And because you're going to carry it around on a gimbal or out at arm's length or whatever it happens to be. I guess that would kind of fall into the standard of a vlogging camera. However, this camera is exceptional, it seems, at vlogging, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to be costly. I mean, $2,200 is a chunk of change for a vlogging camera. But again, if people want to pay it, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not something that I would want. Let's put it that way. So there you have it. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. I like the backdrop, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's actually my cold, dark garage. I turned it into a studio.
Well, it looks cool. I like it.
The background, if I raise the camera up, you'll see the overhead garage door behind the backdrop here. And then the sides here are like camouflage netting that I bought on Amazon. Then I have the lights, and then obviously that's wallpaper, and then a fake TV fireplace.
That's okay, man. If you didn't tell us all that, we wouldn't know.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the camera is actually my door to my kitchen. It's an attached garage. So
it looks good.
Yeah, until one of my kids move out, and I could take one of their bedrooms.
Well, it's interesting, and that's always great to have an interesting backdrop. I mean, we've got Jeffrey up there that's got the Nikon booth at B&H behind him.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, man. Well,
pretty soon, Jeff, you're gonna be able to have to get a license to start selling cameras.
Well, half my stuff on my top shelf is missing because I have it in a. I've been seeing what I could fit in a airplane travel carry-on bag, and so I'm organizing that, moving stuff around, and seeing what I could fit. But so my shelf's a little sparse there on the upper corner.
Hello, Alan. Hello, Yaman. Good to see you guys in here. I'm working my way down as fast as I can to get to the bottom of the list here. The drunk wedding photographer. That's a steep price for a vlogging cam. Good price ranges between 5 and 800, 1,000 max. I would agree with you. But there are people that are willing to pay more. And I was just talking to Jeff about the Z9. I didn't need the Z9. You all have heard that so many times before. I wanted it. And I guess there are people that have, maybe have a want for this camera. They don't need it. They probably have everything they need for vlogging, but for whatever reason they want it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just seems a bit pricey. It really does. It'll be interesting to see how Sony fares with this. And I like watching what other manufacturers are doing, because they could be indicators to what, Nikon's going to do. So,
yeah, I mean, they're saying that you can import LUT files to the camera. And here's where you're, got price too. It's, you got record in S-Log3 for custom color grading, have cinematic vlog settings to adjust your contrast, saturation to different looks and stuff like that, which is all great. But be honest with you, if somebody told me if I had an S-Log3, be honest with you, for what I do for my channel, I wouldn't even know what to do with an S-Log3.
Man,
I mean, I just sit there and suck it into, suck my H.265 10-bit file, 4K 120 into my software, and like I said, get my color wheel out, make some minor adjustments, and call it a day,
Yeah. Hey, Yaman, thank you very much, buddy. You don't have to do that, but I definitely appreciate it. And yeah, we're probably going to need some caffeine, no doubt about that, because, I wanted to just bring up this new Sony full frame vlogging camera, the ZV-E1, because could it be a trend setter, for the vlogging community? I don't know. We're going to wait and see how it goes. But you know what? Somebody's going to take that camera, and they are definitely going to do something very cinematic just to show that it can do it. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I look forward to seeing what people can produce with it.
Hey, Chuck, wasn't the ZVE10 by Sony, wasn't that a really good vlogging camera? Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah. And there are people that are even talking about that, did they need the ZV-E1, especially at this price point, when the ZV-10 was a great vlogging camera? So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there may be some shortcomings to the ZV-10, but still, again, it's I think this is a want camera. Mm-hmm. I can't see anybody saying, oh, I've got to have it because, my vlogs are whatever. But I think it's a want camera, and there are going to be people that are going to buy it. No doubt about that. And again, hey, Yaman, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. I really do. And the real topic for today, I just wanted to, cover the Sony camera and touch on the Z8, only because we don't know anything else other than somebody, their uncle's brother's friend's best man at the wedding son was a garbage collector at Nikon, and he can confirm all the rumors that we have right now. I mean, we really don't have anything other than that. I truly believe it's got to happen soon, folks. It just has to. Nikon knows this. There's no doubt about it. And Nikon does keep an eye on what's being said out here on social media too. So I expect in the next few weeks, we get something more definitive, even if it's a hard rumor, if there is such a thing, that maybe has a little more validity than what we've heard so far. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Mozman.
Yeah.
Mozman says, I'm over AI. The least talented people at my company gravitate towards it. Yeah, you know what? We're going to talk about that. That's the big topic today, because it is becoming more and more prevalent, and whether we like it or not, and you guys can weigh in. And that's why I asked others that may want to join the panel and weigh in that way. AI is here to stay. It's coming. It's coming hard, and whether we like it or not. So my question is, are we going to see a shift where AI is taking over professional photographers' work? And I'm sure I'm going to hear a million reasons why it can't, won't, or whatever. But I got to tell you, you don't know what the consumer wants, and if the consumer gets something cheaper and easier, there's there's a good reason to gravitate towards AI. Not to mention, if you want purity in photography, you're in photojournalism or something like that. But beyond that, consumers don't know what we see when we pixel peep and do things like that. They don't even care. They really could care less. If they like the product, that's all they care about. And that's what you're going to have to compete with AI. And so we shall see.
It's going to be a major argument for months, if not years to come. Just like people get upset and have arguments over people overdoing, well, in their opinion, overdoing things in Photoshop, or people getting upset that all the covers of beautiful women on these magazine covers, they go, oh, that's been photoshopped. They don't have one blemish on their skin. Their skin is perfect, everything's perfect. So it's just going to be another thing that everybody's going to get in an uproar about and knock it down for a long time. And to me, it's another way. It's another way of artistry, and if you choose to do it, fine. But I think it'll be just like it is with if you enter photo contests now. There's going to be limitations on what you could do to the image and still be able to submit it for a photo contest. But
contests are, and I'm not talking about hobbyists either. The only people this will affect are professional photographers. It's not going to affect the hobbyists like me. I don't shoot for money. I don't shoot for a living or whatever. So it's not going to affect me no matter how much AI takes over, if it does or whatever. It's only going to affect the professional photographer. So who's to say a guy takes it? Could somebody take an iPhone 14, go to a wedding, take all these photos, and then just send them to AI to make them beautiful, perfect? And tell me about, a bride wouldn't want a photo with a super whatever setting, even if it's AI generated. She doesn't care whether it's at the venue or not, as long as she gets this beautiful cinematic photo of her and her husband, on some chase lounge at some expensive hotel or backdrop or whatever. You can't exclude what the consumer wants and say that it's only, I'm going to sell them on my charisma.
Well, in the end, it's like you said before. If your client's happy, then that's all that matters. How you got there doesn't matter, as long as your client's happy and you're getting a paycheck. That's how you got to look at it.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with Jeff there, because the client doesn't care what you're shooting with. They don't even know what you're shooting with.
That's right.
You know what I mean? They just care about the end product.
There it is. Yeah. And I think can AI give them a product that they'd like more? So that's the danger of it. And that's why I think photographers, especially professionals, have to figure out how to embrace this. That's just my opinion. I'm not a professional photographer, so I don't have a dog in this fight. I just feel like, some photographers need to sit down and figure out, how am I going to embrace this and use it? Go ahead, Wayne.
Hello, I was going to say hey guys, the industry is changing as far as what people want. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay. So as far as what people want, things are changing. The younger generation is pushing technology forward. And I think that happens in every age. In our age, we wanted autofocus. We had manual focus. We wanted autofocus. Mm-hmm. It got better. So now AI is a thing. I watched the video from the ZV-1 and I was shocked of all the stuff they put inside that camera. And, when I asked Chuck for this link for this thing, there's something I wanted to mention to you guys. They're going to get the patents. And let me say for everybody that's on here, I think Nikon is going to have similar stability. There's some stuff I found in there that what they're going to come. Hang on, let me pull up my list here. Image stabilized lens. So they're going to do something with the body and the lens. Don't know if it's going to be this camera. Let me put it out first and foremost. But stuff that this one just came online a couple of days ago. there's a new BSI sensor, new wave motor for the lens, and Chuck, and you guys will the 85 millimeter. What the reason I was asking you guys how it was doing with video, because what the guys, Grays of Westminster, had talked about the French interview that they did, and they'll ask what lens are people looking for, and the response was that they want to do more video focused stuff, and they kind of overlooked that because from a photographer's mindset, you're like they wanted to know like which lens users clamoring for. Is it going to be 600 millimeter and that? And they kind of missed that, and I put something in the notes and said, guys, they said the video stuff, because we know that Sony's been doing great with the video stuff. And even though they're doing some of them are crop, they're making newer lens, or they're updating the lens to make them better when it comes to focus breathing and fast focusing when it comes to video and tracking. And some of the things that I saw then, what one of the patent is that the dual wave motor, they're making it faster. So if they're going to come out with some lens, we're not thinking about what they're going to come out with. We're on the camera right now, the Z8 and so on and so forth. But I think more things are coming along with that. There was something about a lens mount and an adapter. It sounds very much like the FTZ. I don't know if it's going to be or not. There was a thing about a 3 o'clock control and a 9 o'clock control. I'm like, So we know on the front of the cameras, you push the button on the front. That's usually right around the 3 o'clock looking. If you're looking directly at the camera, but there's nothing on the other side to dislodge a lens. So is there a new mount adapter coming? We don't know. Updated autofocusing system. I've been looking at patents, and they talk about the change that's been occurring over the time from they've been doing sensors. And what people saying is also in the sensors, we all know that Nikon has been modifying what they want, just like Apple. Here's our specs, build it for us.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see more than what we're expecting. And what the ZV-1 just brought out, I don't think Nikon's going to be very far behind. They've been working on some stuff for some time now. Sony to take the pretty much top level stuff from the A7R5 and dump it into this camera.
Well, the only thing that came out of the A7R5 that I could see was the AI portion. I mean, that's huge. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the sensor is old. It's the A7S3, which is still a great sensor, by the way.
Yes.
And it's full frame. So you got to believe that there's a little bit better low light capability. Yeah. But
and
I don't have any problem with this camera other than the fact that it just seems pricey. But then again, if people want to pay that, that's up to them. But I don't think it's it's a mix of new and old technology for Sony. And I think it's a good mix. Although, there are some people that are already talking about the possibility of overheating and things like that. And we've talked about that on the Nikon side. If you shrink the body, the Z9 body, can it perform the same functions in video as the Z9 with the smaller heat sink or whatever? And I think some of that's going to come down to processing. Processing is what generates the heat. And if technology is moving so quickly, technology may have the ability to limit the amount of heat that it generates, as far as processing goes. Go ahead.
The 4K 120, it's not going to be the camera until June. And it's something that you'll have a token, and they apply for token to get it activated in the camera. So that's probably where the overheating issue is coming from that they're talking about. Because if that was in there in that small body and I saw the footprint, I'm like, yeah, I think that the 4K 120, they're probably going to try and work on that somehow to tweak the processor to manage the heat. Because I think that's what Canon did with the R5.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that could done. Everybody else there have the camera in their hand. What could they do in the firmware? We know you throttle a processor.
You just shorten the video time, right? You'll just have to say it's not unlimited video. It's going to be 30 minutes.
Well, but I'm saying on the Canon side, they're getting rid of the recording limit. So they're doing something that's better. And stability. I mean, they've taken what they call it, the active stability, and they've added something more to it for that camera. So that's also A7R5 tech that they're putting in this camera and the next level. Because it's like the kid is running around with the camera in his hand, and the girl or the other guy was just stable.
Look,
Panasonic level stable.
It's going to be interesting to see how well it sells, how well it sells for Sony, because then again, like I said, just watching what the other manufacturers are doing, you can map out where your brand's going to go. I mean, and Canon's looking at this new camera as well. Is vlogging going to go to full frame? Is this the start of full frame for vlogging? I don't know.
I don't think it's just the other camera manufacturers either that are kind of waiting to see what Sony is doing with this camera. I think it's also, we have to take in consideration the advancements of smartphones, because like the new iPhone 14 Pro Max or whatever the new one is, like it's almost like for most people who vlog use their smartphone. It's not, almost everybody I know that vlogs uses their smartphone. And like the IBIS in the phones, I know it's you can't really compare them, but it's almost like gimbal like that are on these new smartphones. And so I think that they're also trying to compete with that market as well, because they keep for vlogging purposes. Obviously, the dynamic range and all that's going to be not as good, but when a vlogger is going to vlog, their main concern is mainly IBIS. They want to still video. They don't want the wobbling and all that stuff. So
and you don't have to pay for a gimbal.
Right. Yeah. And that's becoming more cumbersome to carry a big gimbal around.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's one of the things that they were talking about in the reviews. I saw Chris and Jordan, they reviewed the camera. I guess, I can't remember his name now. Gerald Undone, he reviewed it, of course, and he said that he actually recorded for an hour and a minute or a couple of minutes or something in 4K, I believe, and he didn't have an issue with it overheating. I mean, he didn't say that it was overheating. I guess the camera did get warm, and I would guess that it would. But then the question is, in what kind of heat will it be able to do that in? At 70 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe it isn't such a big deal, but maybe at 90 degrees, which is where you're going to find vloggers out and about in heat and whatever, especially in
Malaysia, all these places.
Yeah. So I don't know, but is that going to be a showstopper? I don't know. I mean, the camera just got announced, and we only have a few of the reviewers that are talking about it. And of course, most are praising, it's great and this and that and whatever. And if Nikon had a camera that just came out and they're going to praise, oh, it's great and blah, 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 I'm going to take that with a grain of salt as well. You're going to have to wait and let it get in the hands of us, the true consumer,
the real people.
Right.
And start talking about it, not the paid advertisers.
It's going to limit their recording time anyway, is going to be the size of the battery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean,
they
you do video, you suck the juice out of a battery when you're doing video. So that's going to reduce it unless you have an external battery pack.
Yeah, and one of the things, and this is something that even with this
is the battery using this A7R5 battery. This is what I put it in there.
Yep. I did see in the rumors for the Z8, we're talking about one external recording, or to a to one of the little Samsung hard drives, something like this.
Really?
Or other. Yeah, that was one of the rumors. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But we also have powering now via USB-C, and and a small brick or whatever along with the camera. I know it's not comfortable. That somebody's going to build a bracket that makes it comfortable or whatever to do that for extended video recording or whatever maybe. But yeah, technology again is moving so fast. I'll tell you what, if somebody wants to really do something in the camera world, develop a new form of power, something that I think Elon Musk is working on a new battery source or storage.
Go nuclear, man. We want a little nuclear reactor in the camera.
Then it will overheat. So yeah, I think that's going to be the next advancement. Go ahead.
Are usually external VBOP batteries, and they're making them smaller and smaller. So these folks are usually rigging them up, and if they're not, putting them on my shoulder, they're in a rig that can, carry the battery that will power your lights, power your monitor, and your camera at the same time. So that technology already exists, and they've been shrinking the batteries to making them smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So now is it small rig has one that's like 99 watt hours that you can take on an airplane, and a
Yeah.
couple other people are imitating them with that same smaller size as well. I saw one in Malaysia, and I was tempted to buy it. You know, USB-C, USB-A, V1. There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep. I use it to power my video transmitter.
Yeah.
With a D-tap. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Wow, man. So much moving so quick in the technology world. This is why I said way back when, when the Z8 comes out, people don't want to hear it. We still have so many people in the Nikon camp that want Nikon to dumb down everything. Well, you can't have all this new technology because you can't overshadow the flagship. Wrong. I think that's changed. And I think all the manufacturers have changed that philosophy as well. And the Z8 will have technology that the Z9 doesn't have. Well, why would people buy the Z9? Well, good question. There are reasons, but there's no reason for me to try to explain to you, why they would still buy the Z9, because you don't want it to begin with. There you have it. But there are reasons to buy the Z9 over, a smaller body that even does most of what you want from the Z9. It's just, it's the changing of the times, man. The guard is changing, and camera technology is definitely changing. And back to how much more is AI going to change the camera industry?
Big. It's going to be big.
I think it's going to be big too.
If you're taking the technology from a $4,000 camera and put in a $2,200 camera, this was what we consider next level, right? A7R5, you kind of expect that almost a flagship. Now it's in a flagship vlogging camera, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they've added additional features on top of that. The stability is better than the A7R5.
Mm.
So, when people are saying Nikon shouldn't do this, I'm like, of course they should. They need to come up with the newest technology, drop in the Z8 and the Z6 III, because they're not just competing against themselves. They're competing against all these other guys out there selling cameras. And if you just come and say, hey, I don't want to, mess with the Z9 sales and all that stuff, then when you come out with something it's worse than what's on the market already, who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
I think it's just like how social media platforms are trying to one up each other all the time too with technology and AI. I mean, it's the same concept. I mean, look at YouTube. I listened to some one of the people who work for YouTube in a video, and he was saying that AI is getting so advanced in the very, very near future to where on YouTube, because of AI, you're going to be able to, I don't know how they're going to do this, whether you agree with it or not, that's subjective, but creators are going to be able to even swap clothes digitally off of you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And this,
there goes the fashion industry down the toilet. There you go. More lost jobs.
I don't know how that's going to work or how that's going to play out digitally in your video, but you're going to be able to swap out your attire somehow.
Green screen and then just have it overlaid and track your body without little
and it just goes to show that. Right. And it just goes to show that even just like the camera world, social media platforms are always trying to one up, especially with shorts and reels and all these other things that are, trying to compete with each other. So,
this is an interesting point that Ray makes. It's getting to the stage where you won't trust any photo you're looking at except for the one you took. And, I see that. So here's my only worry about that. Is in photojournalism or things like that, or where they may misrepresent a story by using an AI generated photo for a particular viewpoint or something like that. I don't know how they, control that or whatever. But the bottom line again is what the consumer enjoys is, the bottom line. If the consumer enjoys a cartoon model, generated photo of somebody, then there it is.
I think it also comes down to like the art of photography. Like art, photography is art and art is subjective. So there's a lot of different softwares that are coming out. Like Luminar Neo is one of them. Those are the ones I've been playing with lately. And there's so many things in that software that you can do that's not like Lightroom and Photoshop just yet. Like I mean, I know Photoshop can do sky replacements and stuff too. And some people are more purist at heart and they hate with a passion sky replacement. And some people enjoy doing that. What I think it comes down to is integrity of the photographer. If somebody is coming to you and saying, "Did you take this photo of how it looks?" And like, I think it comes down to the integrity of the photographer. Okay, yeah, I created this, but it's not what I saw out in the field type thing. You know what I mean? That's just me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know where the battle's going to be, or the battle, not the battle, but the argument's going to be between photographers.
Yeah,
again,
sure.
I think consumers are going to embrace it, and photographers are going to fight over it.
Just like everything
amongst themselves. Yeah.
Just like everything.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Channel for the next year, fighting over that, right?
Right.
You could talk about that for the next year on a channel, and we don't care about any new cameras. We could just have a discussion about AI, and I mean, you definitely could.
But I don't think that photographers are doing that. Instead, they're just saying it's never going to take over. It's stupid. It's not real. You can say all those things, but the bottom line is the enemy is gathering at the border, and you don't just ignore it. You have to go meet it. And that's what AI is to photography. By the way, Adobe has a new program in their suite, Firefly, that is an AI generator. AI image generator. And I guess that's going to be coming. Somebody reviewed it. So here you go. Adobe embraced it, didn't they? Embraced it. Yeah, we got to get in on this too. But Adobe will only use their stock images to generate other photos. So, that's one way to control it, but that's not going to be, you're not going to be able to control that for long. And there is the problem too. People using any image on the internet to generate a photo with AI, and copyright issues and all kinds of other things that are going on. Or you broadcast your wedding photos, and somebody takes one of your wedding photos and generates an AI generated photo that's even better than the one that you were given. And there's issues as well. So, yeah, man, I don't know what the answer is. I just bring it up because I do believe that it's something that photographers have to figure out. How do we deal with this? We can't ignore it. It is not going away.
I think it's a good discussion. I think it's a good discussion because you're not gonna stop it. You know what I mean? Like everybody,
it's going to be personal choice, like anything else. It's going to be out there. You either decide to use it or you don't. Just like, well, if you don't want to shoot video, then don't shoot video. Personal choice.
Well, there's already AI generated video too. I mean, how it's just amazing at what they're able to do now. Hey, Hank, I agree with you 100%. And I really don't want to get into that part of it, but you're absolutely right. That's the part that scares me about AI. More so than just taking over or generating photos or whatever. I think we're messing with disaster. And I like people that say, well, it's never going to happen. Well,
I
never say never.
I don't know how many things I can tell you that.
Science fiction always turns into science fact, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Fred Flintstone didn't think he was going to stop using his feet.
We'll never be in space and one of those things that spins around, and we got space stations up there. So much for it not happening. It happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody's probably working on something that rotates like that to get it up there. There's a lot of flights happening lately. We don't know what's going on with each one of them. So who knows what else is happening?
Yeah. So here's a comment. Nick says, if when AI takes a leap, we and photographers and videographers will access it and capitalize with the times. Yeah, that's the whole point of just this conversation. And this is just, the tip of the iceberg and getting a conversation going. And again, guys, I don't have a dog in this fight because I'm not a pro photographer. Nobody's stealing from me. If they are, that'd be flattery.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck steals from us once a month.
That's exactly right. I won't even have to get your photos. I'll just generate them for you with AI. Tell me what you want to show. Oh
I
man.
mean, I think you got to ask yourself also, not just from a photographer standpoint, but from a clientele standpoint. If you're doing this for a living and you're making money, how many clients out there in the future are going to want that kind of technology in their work and their photographs and their, so if you're trying to make money into it, you almost have to force yourself to progress with it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you're
Well,
trying to make any
money's going to be the big motivator for this.
exactly. If you're not doing it for money and you're just doing it for the hobby, I mean,
Different
still
thing.
shoot film,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, Mozman says AI struggles with hands and other body parts that can manipulate face as well. Yeah, I've seen that too, Moz. But I mean,
It's going to get
how
better.
long will it be until it's perfect? I mean, we can't say that it won't be. It will be. I mean, there are people that are working on it right now, to make it perfect.
Ray Powell asked a question here, down a little bit. Doesn't the Z5 have IBIS? Would it work as a vlog camera? It's a decent video camera, but the tilt, it only has the tilt screen. It's not a flippy screen. So most vloggers probably wouldn't use it because they can't see themselves while they're recording, so that's the only thing, but it does have IBIS.
Yeah, Hank says AI is moving much faster than you think. It's not long term, it's overnight. Yeah, well, we've seen that. I mean, overnight, we're dealing with all these AI generated photos already. So yeah, man, it's moving quick. And again,
You
I
have
say,
to remember,
go ahead.
these things have been around for a while. We may not have known about it, but they've been in development for years. And now they got
Yeah.
to the point where they can throw them out there and anybody can use them to do whatever.
Yeah. And, going back to vlogging and the ZVE1 and all the other cameras, Ray asked, doesn't the Z5 have IBIS and would it work as a vlog camera? I don't know if the Z5 has IBIS. I want to say it does. Yeah.
It
Okay.
does.
And,
It does,
yes,
but
Ray.
No flippy screen, no, it just tilts.
Right. And Ray, yeah, it would work as a vlog camera. But, Sony took it up a whole nother notch. And that's what we're really talking about is, will people respond to that and say, I've got to have this full frame. I got to have this, this other sensor, all the bells and whistles as far as all the AI and everything in the other upper tier cameras. And is Nikon going to respond to that and build a camera that's going to be $2,200, but is a blogging or vlogging camera? That's what we're waiting to see now. Yes, the Z5 would be fine for a vlogging camera if, in fact, you can set it up so that you're framing yourself all the time, able to see yourself as you're framing, because that's what vlogging is. It's not just sitting in front of the camera as a talking head. It's literally out walking around and moving the camera, all different angles to show what's going on, show yourself and everything else. So, yeah, it can be a vlogging camera, but not.
I agree. I agree with Mozman here. He says $2,200 for a vlogging camera is excessive. And that goes back to what Chuck was saying, is that, hey, if you got the money, spend it. But at the same time, I know if I take out my M6 Mark II for vlogging, and that's under $1,000 or right around that price point. And as somebody who's vlogging, depending on the type of photography and videography you're doing or where you're doing it at, if you're out in nature and you're out near ponds and lakes and all different types of weather, I'm not spending $20-some hundred on a vlogging camera that it has a good chance of breaking or falling into a pond. And then I got to spend another $20-some hundred on that camera to get another vlogging. I want something that's going to deliver what I need at an affordable price that I can easily replace.
You could go out and get a GoPro.
Yeah, even a
in
GoPro, even a
in
GoPro.
waterproof case. You can get a GoPro.
Okay.
And you're going to pay nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Let me be the devil's advocate for a minute and say this. We all have DSLRs and or mirrorless cameras, and we have all the big lenses and yada, yada, yada. We're not interested in this at all, really. I mean, it might be a kind of neat to look at it and whatever, but somebody that does nothing but vlogging is probably a whole lot more willing to go out on a limb and spend a bunch of money on a vlogging camera that they think is superior to all the others, just like we do with our mirrorless and DSLRs. So yeah, I agree 100%. And I said that right at the start of this. I think $2,200 is a lot of money, but then again, I'd be shooting myself if I said, do you really need it? Because that's not my shtick.
Yeah.
Well, look
Do
at
you really want it? And
well,
if you do,
look at this camera. This is the cheapest one, or I should say, one of the cheapest vlogging cameras you will ever buy on the market. It's the Canon M50, and it is still today one of the most highly recommended and sought after vlogging camera, even though the 4K is pretty much useless on it. People are still vlogging with this camera today, and it's still selling. And I think what were you going to say?
I said the technology that is in this camera is like some of the new PTZ camera that they've been announcing, where the camera can track you as you move around the frame.
Yeah.
It keeps you in the middle of the frame. It moves with you. You know, when you have something set up on a tripod and you want to move around a room, most of us know that you need somebody back there to do all these things for you. Having a camera that can track you, keep you in focus, keep your face, your eyes, and everything, you know, where you're going, zoom in, zoom out as it needs to keep you in frame. That's next level stuff. We don't have that in any camera that we have right now.
Yeah.
And you have to buy the little PTZ thing that, you know, moves around for you. And that's what, a couple $1,000s for that. So putting that technology in there where the person wants to be at home can have that kind of functionality. The person's on the street, have the stability with the framing as well, added into it. If you're out just running around and without the framing, you can get that. The microphone stuff, I was like amazed about that because I don't have this Sony microphone that I have sticking on top of the camera that has 3 modes: shotgun, to the side, and if you know behind the camera you can talk, and then you want everything. It's like an omnidirectional. So 3 things in one. 3, what do you call it? Camera, microphone array, and that thing. That's awesome. So yeah, it costs a lot more money, but there's some people out there that's like, this does everything that I wanted to do.
and if that's all you do is vlogging, you're willing to spend that money, maybe. You know, again, they look at us like, you're going to pay that much for a camera that takes pictures?
Yeah. Think about it. If you get one of these other cameras, you need some kind of stability, a stabilizer, gimbal, right? How much that costs? $200 to $500 for the smaller ones.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't get a DJI, you still want something that's decent. So that's added weight and added cost. Okay. External microphone that's going to provide better audio. It's built into the camera. And you have to look at all the little pieces that goes along to this thing. I was freaking out when I was watching this video. I was like, no, this is like a lot of technology in this camera. So the price point seems high, but the technology that's in there, you know, because I know I own Sony cameras, I can, you know, buy these parts, I can do all these things. If my camera could have a microphone that works like that, it'd be awesome. But it's an extra, what, $500 for that camera to put on top? I'm sorry, the microphone to put on top of the camera? This is built in. So you're moving from a $1,000 vlogging camera with all these additional features, and you end up at $2,200 because, you know, you go to a campfire out in, and you can film out there in the dark. What kid doesn't want that? Well, kid who can afford it.
Yeah.
I look at it for the guys who are shooting birds and so on. You don't want a GoPro. You want something good that can track you around. That's what I thought about as soon as I saw that. Stick it on a tripod, walk around. You already set up your frame. You know where you're at. It tracks you. You're in frame. It'll zoom in on you.
Again, this is how fast technology's moving. And, you know, unfortunately for some, they don't want technology to move this quickly. They're happy where they're at and what they're doing, and want it to remain the same. And you know, so do I in a lot of instances. But this is one of those things that you're not going to have any control over. You're not going to be able to control it. It's happening.
One thing I did notice that they didn't mention anything about the photo side of it. it's got to take photos. I figure like the
It does.
FX30.
JPEGs only, no RAW files.
See? So
Yeah.
they've stripped out some of the things to get the cost
So
down from what the A7 S3 costs in the FX3.
Well, so some of the people were saying in the chat during the live stream, talking about, well, if it doesn't shoot RAW, I'm out. Well, you were probably never in to begin with.
No.
The people that want to use this, that are going to buy this, don't care about RAW files. More so raw video, which they're not going to get in this either. But I mean, the point is, they don't care about raw stills. JPEGs, if they use it for JPEGs or stills, it'd be very limited, and JPEG is just fine for them. I want to address this comment real quick. So Mozman says there's no satisfaction that comes from AI. It's not going to satisfy anyone's artistic side. I don't know if I could make that statement, Moz. It's all in the eye of the consumer. It may not translate well for me. I may say, no, that looks terrible. But again, I've had photos where I've cleaned up the photo for some ladies and they were all about it. Man, that is great. I love it, blah, 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 and everything else. And most of the time, especially in women that are, a little more of age, can you take the wrinkles out? Well, yeah, I can, but it's not going to make you look natural. I don't care. I don't want to look natural.
I look young.
Yes. So my point is, it's going to be in the eye of the consumer as far as from a photography standpoint, what the consumer wants, and if they can't find it with you taking realistic photos and everything else, they'll find it with somebody that does the AI thing or whatever. And again, I go back to, you have to be a wedding photographer to be able to capture the moments, where to be, when to be, focal length, and all these other different variables. All that. But who says a photographer that knows all that couldn't go to a wedding with an iPhone 14, take thousands of photos on his iPhone, and then send them to an AI generator to I manipulate them however he wants or however the client wants. So, and I'm not doing all this to aggravate people. I'm just saying that AI is here, and we we have to, as photographers, not the hobbyists, but the professionals, have to figure out, how are you going to embrace it? What are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to are you just going to say, that's it? I give up. I can't compete with, the people that are using AI in wedding photography or event photography or whatever.
I think photographers all together, and this is just my opinion, I think we as a collective whole just need to understand that we're all different and we all like different things, and we all create art differently. And just because you don't like computational photography doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't. And it's their way of, creating emotion or storytelling.
Yeah.
And because that's what it's all about. It's not about, restricting a type of, way of doing art. And I know that's going down a philosophy type road, but I think, I just think that sometimes we lose focus on photography because we're so wanting to not progress with technology, and we hold the community we hold some of the community behind from growing into the photographer that they want to be, not who I want you to be. You see what I'm saying?
I think we need to get some younger folks out here to come on the chat and
for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Because we're from a different generation. At least I am, Chuck and Jeff. We are looking at things a little bit differently, and I had to adapt because a video camera was a camcorder, not a SLR or mirrorless. And years I would not have wanted that. And I tried out the 500. It was decent, but when I saw what the Z6 can do, whole other level. I was in. I loved it. I want to try it. I want to do it. I just didn't want the bulk. But still, when I decided to go on YouTube, I bought a camcorder.
For sure.
To record me. I did. And it took me a while from 2021 when I started traveling to say, okay, I got to accept that I need something smaller, lighter that can actually do the job, and I'll get with it. So when I see some of these younger kids that are creating stuff and what they're doing, we may consider it not art or doing something totally different, but to them, this is what their generation like. This is what they're, putting out. And when you look at what gets the views in Instagram or TikTok or whatever, what gets the views? We look at, what was that? The Philippines, and all these kids were in this rooftop park, and had phones sitting on there, they're doing a dance. I'm like, what is going on here? They were all recorded TikTok videos. Some new dance that came out. We look at it as making a fool of yourself in public. They didn't care.
Yeah,
People are doing it on escalators, in airport, in shopping malls. They're just doing it wherever.
I do that every time I come on Chuck's show.
I want to respond real quick to Matthew Card's photo comment here.
Okay.
Hey, brother, real quick. I appreciate your comment here, and I just want to address my thoughts on it real quick. If I can find it again now, he talks about how right here people don't really care to pay for art today. That it's a major issue. I agree with that to a point. I think it's very, very difficult today, depending on the niche of photography you're shooting, to make any kind of money. In fact, I'd go on a limb and say 99% or maybe 95% of photographers are social media photographers. They're not out there making money doing it. And if they are, it's very, very little, and it's not their full-time gig. So with that being said, people don't really care to pay for art today. That part of your comment is true because everybody nowadays uses their smartphone, and it's very difficult to even sometimes, depending on the lighting, to even see a difference. I've said it before that I've watched a video of a professional photographer print out two different photos of the same subject. One was with a Canon R5 with the kit lens or just a lens, and then the other one was with the smartphone, an iPhone. And he blew them up to a decent size, and he went to a college campus, and he wanted people who are not photographers to see the difference, if they could point the differences out. Some of them could, but the majority of people couldn't even tell. And it goes back to people care about, if you're not a photographer, they just want the results. And if they're willing to pay, they don't care what you're shooting with. And if you're in, like going back to your comment about people who don't care about art and buying art, it goes back to why are you doing it? If you're trying to make money and you're as a photographer and you're wanting to do this as a full-time gig, then it matters. But for the vast majority of photographers, you should be doing it for yourself. You shouldn't be doing it for other people. You should be doing it for yourself. So I can agree to your comment that most people don't want to buy art because the way technology is going, everybody has access to the same technology if you got the money. It's becoming harder and harder to be a professional photographer because if you got the money, anybody can take a camera, a professional camera, and the cameras are getting so good that they're doing the majority of the work for you anyways. So I agree. It's getting harder to make a name for yourself. But it all comes back to, in my opinion, why are you doing it in the first place?
Look, there are going to be people that want to buy the personal experience and everything else. Yes. And they've seen your work and they like your work more so than whether it's AI or other photographers, and they're going to want to continue to work with you. I get that. Right. But then again, there are going to be a whole lot of people that are going to look for the fast, easy, cheap way out that still has quality results. And we can argue all day long, well, it's not quality. If it's, well,
who gets to define that?
Exactly.
Who gets to define that?
You know, if, like I said, the bride wants to be pictured with her husband in in an extravagant hotel for a photo op or whatever, and AI can do that, and the venue that you're actually shooting in is, so who's to say she can't have that, or or she won't like that or whatever. So again, that's why I say it's just time to embrace it and figure out how you, and I go back to you all as professional photographers. Obviously all of us hobbyists have our own opinions as well, but I don't have a dog in the fight. I can't fight it because I have no reason, or I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not making money from photography, so it doesn't impact me. It impacts me in the sense that, nobody may care about our photos anymore or whatever. But as you're saying, Kevin, shoot for yourself.
Yeah.
And if people enjoy it, that's great. If they don't, you're happy with what you're doing. And that's
Exactly.
all that matters. So, yeah,
So
man.
let's comment on the screen here.
Yeah.
Who put that up? Well, who's this? RS.
That's RS. And I think you're seeing the flagship vlog camera right now introduced today.
Yep. That's it.
And
I had to
Basically
laugh.
knocks everything out of the park.
yeah. And Maz, I saw your comment too. Nikon can't respond to everything that the other manufacturers build. I get that. You're absolutely right. And I'm not saying they should or will. I'm just saying, or would they consider it? Is it something that Nikon may look at as well? I don't know. But again, now here's another thing. Go back to money. All these manufacturers are in it to make money. And if if they see there's a trend, then I would expect that they're going to follow that trend and go with it if it's a moneymaker. I'm not saying that this is the flagship vlogging camera is the trend, but again, who knows what Nikon may do. I'm not trying to convince them to do it either. Don't get me wrong here.
I think Nikon will eventually come out with something in that trend, but I think they're looking at the entire market, see what people want. I remember I mentioned to you guys, I kept getting email about this Z30 camera. Mm-hmm. This is good tech, but not great tech. So you're trying to get some people happy about what you're putting out. Here comes someone and go, hey, we just got the bar. Pass it. Yeah. I'm sure they're working on something, but when is it going to come out? We don't know just yet, because that kind of technology is what, all of us photographers looking at Z9, R3, A7, or A1, you're thinking this belongs in those cameras. Here it is in a vlogging camera. And you want to call it a flagship vlogging camera? Sure. But the technology that, we've been talking about and saying, hey, we have to leave something for the Z9, guys. If Nikon doesn't move and jump ahead of the other guys by throwing the technology in some of the mid-tier cameras as well, yeah, they're going to get left behind. And Sony's doing a good job. They've melted that sense.
Time will tell how
look, we picked on Sony hard in the early days. We did. I did. I'm not going to deny it. I slammed Sony every chance I got early on in the Sony beginnings. But you know what? Sony brought about where we're at today. And some may say, well, that's a bad thing. Why couldn't we just stagnate and stay? Why didn't manufacturers just stop making cameras with the D850, the 5D Mark IV, and whatever, 1DX Mark III or 4, and the Nikon Z, or not Z, but D6? I think there are a lot of photographers out there that would have been happy if all camera manufacturers went out of business other than support for what product they had in the field. They don't want anything more. And that's very apparent in the way they speak, especially. I see it all the time. What more do you need? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? Film was great. I can shoot anything I want on a whatever. So what you're saying is what I'm saying is there are a whole lot of people out there that don't want any more technology. They want to stick to I had to put my time in learning on this, filmed in the film days. And it's not fair to me. That's what they're not saying though. It's not fair to me. You're getting it easier than I had it. And is that any way to look at this new technology? I don't like that it's moving so fast either, but, are you going to be so selfish that you're going to say, it doesn't have a place? It's no good.
When you get to a certain age in life, I find as we get older, we get complacent in the things that we know. We get comfortable with them. And now you have to look back and talk about your past. So a young person talking about the latest tech, to you, that's like cheating, so to speak. I had to struggle. Why can't you guys struggle? You guys are cheating. Manual focus to autofocus. Lever drives to battery drive. Everything is changing with camera. I'm just using camera technology, but all these things are changing. Manual transmission, automatic. We hear this with every generation. And not everybody's in the same, but there's some people that get stuck in the old ways. And there's some folks that say, look, technology is moving. I'm trying to be a part of it. I want to see what's coming next. Let's get on the train, ride it.
I would just say on this new camera, there's, and this could start a big fist fight here. So I'll just hit everybody all at once. It's going to attract a certain individual who wants to step up from, you just wants the best of the best for that genre or that type of camera. But one could also flip the coin and argue that, a Z30 or the lower end Sony, if you're just doing TikTok videos and some YouTube content, you're not going to have a problem with what's out there now. So when you look at spending $2,200 or $2,500 with the kit lens, then you're kicking it up a notch. But the thing is too, depending on where you're going to put that content, is that platform that you're going to share that content on going to knock down the quality anyway, because that's what that platform does. If it knocks down the quality, then you're paying for something that you're not going to see the benefit of.
Well, not completely, Jeffrey, but higher quality in does provide better quality out. I mean, right now I'm shooting in 4K right now, and it does make a difference. Even though it's streaming at 1080, it definitely makes a difference. So I wouldn't say it kills it, but you're right. It's not full potential of what you're actually, shooting in. No doubt about that. But if that were the case, we wouldn't watch TV. We wouldn't watch movies on TV.
Yeah. I'm going to make a funny comment about AI though. When the Google Pixel camera came out and they showed you how you can erase the person next to Susie that you didn't like that person, you just erase them and they disappear. I started laughing and I said, that's actually pretty good for AI, because I had a relative that when I was a kid would wreck every photo opportunity that my mom was trying to take a picture, and would always like pop their head in the corner and show up and wreck the picture. Now you could just erase that person. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah. Oh man.
Wasn't it Sony that said that by 2024, smartphones are going to replace DSLRs?
Yeah, I don't think.
Look, here's the deal on smartphones. Smartphones have replaced some point and shoot cameras, no doubt about it. It's more convenient. It's easy. I zap it right to, Uncle Frank or, Aunt Betty or whatever. Here's a photo of us at the beach immediately. So yeah. But again, now you have to go back and re-educate people. And I use this all the time with people that think, well, you can do it with this. You got to go re-educate people, because nobody cares about keeping photos anymore. That's the bottom line. I mean, they might be a little upset if their phone goes dead or they drop it in the lake or whatever, and they lost all the photos on their phone or whatever. But people don't keep photos anymore. I mean, that's a continuous struggle, I think, even in the photo industry, wedding industry, is to sell prints, isn't it? I mean, it used to be, you had a wedding and you printed, dozens of photos, a photo book, the whole wedding album or whatever. But I don't know that that's happening anymore. And you guys that are wedding photographers can tell me, has it diminished at all? But I don't think people care anymore. And that's why
he doesn't sell print packages. When I talk to Hagen, he doesn't sell print packages. He just puts it all on a thumb drive and here you go. And I'll recommend some places where you can get pictures made if you want to.
I mean, we've done it on these channels, talked about, if you don't print, you don't have, digital will, not survive the, age of time. And if you really want to hang on to a specific photo, then you've got to print it. And that's the only way you're going to keep. That's the only way you can guarantee you will have it forever, as long as you protect it. But now, digitally, who knows?
Who was that famous wedding photographer that Verhagen had on that shoots in Italy a lot and has classes, and he had like cases of vintage cameras, you know, behind glass, and but he does full prints and does it, I guess you want to say old school, you know, puts together, you know, all the proofs and makes beautiful prints. And I mean, but I mean, he's charging, you know, and everybody goes to him type of thing, but it's not dead yet. And that guy has made a huge living on wedding photography, and he still makes prints. But I'd say most wedding photographers now don't want to be bothered with making a print. It's like, you want to be cheap? Yeah, go to CVS and make your prints. Here's your thumb drive. Or you want the good stuff? I'll tell you where you can go get good prints. Here's your thumb drive. It's all time is money, and putting a print package together and putting stuff in a photo album and all that takes time, and it cuts back on how many weddings you could do.
Yeah, I understand this comment, Maz. I understand that 100%. I don't know how long it'll be before AI can think intelligently. I know it's only the amount of information that's uploaded that it can actually regurgitate, but algorithms, as you were talking about there, may allow it to reason based on enough information. So yeah, that day scares me. That's the part that scares me about AI. What we're talking about is not true AI, and it's only what it's been fed that it can regurgitate. So yeah, again, this is one of those things. It's controversial, and I am playing the devil's advocate, folks. I don't like it either. I got to tell you, from my standpoint, I wish AI didn't exist. I wish it had never come about. But the bottom line is, it is here. It is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to develop. And what are we going to do about it? How do we either embrace it or stop it? And I don't think stopping it is an option. Let me see here. Let me go through the comments. I'm sorry, I'm behind again. I'm trying to scroll through. I'll throw them up here on the screen. I can't always read them because other people are talking. And by the way, you are more than welcome to come on the show if you want to voice your opinion and jump into this conversation. I welcome you because this is a pretty controversial topic, and everybody needs to be able to get their 10 cents worth in. Nikon hasn't announced anything about the Z8. Can people stop getting upset and angry when something nobody has said is coming hasn't come yet? Okay. All right. Hey, Ash, I say yes and no. No, Nikon hasn't produced anything for a year and a half. So there is a reason for people to be a little bit perturbed. You may not be, and that's absolutely fine, but you can't dictate what other people feel. And whether it's childish or otherwise, this is how they feel, and they're going to express themselves. It's just the way it is. And everybody can say it's an instant need society and everything else. Yeah, well, maybe it is. But unless you have a chant that you can do over the radio that will calm everybody down and make everybody mellow and not care anymore about certain things, there isn't anything we can do about it. There are going to be people that are impatient. I am one of them. And, why can't I state my discern about, Nikon taking forever to do it? I know they're going to take as long as they need. Yes, I know. I get that. And I probably can't change that, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to say anything about it, as stupid as it is. But then again, I'm one of many stupid people in this world. So, so I just ask that you bear with us. Let's see. Man.
Yeah, I'm curious what Darren Francis, I know he takes these wonderful hockey photos that he shares with us with all his multiple sensor setups and camera positioning in the net and all that stuff that he does.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what other sports. I mean, what does he shoot sports wise when hockey season's over? I guess I'm just curious what he goes to when hockey season's over. I mean, I love the hockey pictures, but does he switch to a different sporting genre or what? Just curious, Darren, what you do.
Let's see. Matthew says people don't care about quality, Chuck. They may not. But again, you know what? You're paying, you get what you want. There it is. You know, again, why do we think we can tell people this is what you must do? This is what you must purchase. This is the quality that you must ask for, or whatever. People are going to buy what they want, and that's it. And you know what? You're either a good salesman or you're a bad salesman. You either make a living or you don't. If you can make a living, you know, telling people what they need and whatever, that's great. But the consumer,
good salesman is somebody that can sell you something that he or she might not even want to buy.
the consumer buys what they want, and that's the way it is. And, you know, you either sell what they want or you don't. It's just that simple. And if they can get it cheaper, same quality, even if it's a perception of the same quality, that's all that matters to the consumer. So it's tough. Jeff's family invented photo bombing.
Oh yeah. I had a cousin that did that all the time, man. Poked his head in every picture.
All right. So, hey, folks, is this a conversation that we need to curtail for now? Is it getting too heated or whatever? Again, I'm playing devil's advocate on a lot of this, but I do agree in, you know, the consumer drives the train on what they want. And if they want AI generated photos, that's what they're going to go after. And what can the professional photographers do to stay relevant? Or is it nothing to worry about? Maybe that's the case. Maybe pros feel like there's really nothing to worry about.
Well, what
Guys,
will happen? What will happen is if the perception of the AI that people like that and they want that, then you're going to be forced to join the crowd, because then people are going to say, well, I like this result better than your result. And your hand will be forced to go that way, or you're going to lose sales and you're going to have less business. So the market is going to drive what people do. You know, people obviously have a choice of what they do, but if you're trying to make a living, if Joe around the corner is using AI and everybody says, oh, his stuff is so much better than yours, what does they say? Blank or get off the pot, right? You're either going to have to do the same thing or go that route, or figure out a different marketing scheme to keep doing what you're doing and survive. But
I think Vanessa Joy just did a video on AI, something about AI. I didn't watch it, but maybe I need to go back and watch it now and see what she has to say about AI. It may have nothing to do with what we're talking about. I don't know, but I know that
Wayne's taking off on us here, Chuck.
Yeah,
Chuck, Wayne, you're leaving. It's only midnight, man. I thought you stayed up all night doing videos.
Ooh. This was like, you know, I've been editing videos. My eyes are bothering me today. And I was like, you know, I need to stop for a while. Same thing happened to me before I started traveling last year.
Yeah.
My eyes got to a point where they couldn't see down the road anymore. It was like just at this distance. And I started to feel like when I said I wasn't going to record anything, and after this something came out and I recorded something tonight, I started editing before I came on. But I'm like, I need to get off the computer. I can feel my eyes jumping. I need to get some sleep. It is after midnight over here. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Saturday. It's morning for me. I can be able to talk more.
A little bit easier for you on Saturdays. I know it's Sunday morning. Hey, one question. So are you going to get the Z9? you didn't know what that camera was until you picked it up.
All of a sudden, his screen's going to go blank here.
Well, I know what intrigues him so much, and it's all the video capability in that camera, and that's the part that nobody really talks enough about. I don't care what it does on the still side. On the video side, it's
It's
dominant.
killer.
Yeah.
And I said to John, his video that he did about the 26 millimeter, I used that to record him, and I just kind of kept my eyes on the screen because I wanted to see if we'd lose track or anything, and it didn't.
Yep.
And I remember I read an article from F-Stoppers that said they use like 13 of these things to film an interview, and the guy would say, we know the focus isn't so good, we don't have to worry about it. We need a 13-man crew to monitor all these cameras. It was like 2 or 3 of them, and they got the Nikon Z9 because they knew it was going to do its thing. It can record for a long period of time, and it will try.
Yeah.
And after they saw it could do 12 bits, internal, raw, ProRes, and all this stuff, I was like, yeah, baby. No more Ninja, no more this, no more that.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things that people will say, well, are you ever going to use 8K? Yeah, people do. There's a reason for everything that's in that camera. It may not be to anybody that shoots stills only. They may not understand how it could be useful or whatever. But yeah, it is a video monster. And Nikon has said that at CP Plus, that article's over on Nikon Rumors now, talking about Nikon will continue to pursue video, which is a good thing.
And like I said earlier, lenses are coming. We didn't think about that stuff, but they talk about it. It's going to happen. The video stuff is coming. From all the pattern stuff I've been looking through, I was going to record a video about it, but my last video probably got like 100 or something. I'm like, I'm not going to waste weeks of research and then, only get 100 views. I'm like, no. That's why I talked about it here tonight, so you guys can hear about that stuff. But let me take off.
All right, take it easy, Wayne. Have a good night.
Wayne. Have a good one.
Take it, guys.
We'll see you later, Wayne. Everybody go check out Wayne Armatics on YouTube. Interesting stuff he's generating now.
He had good interviews with Mr. Ishii that I enjoyed very much, Wayne. Good job.
Hong Kong in a couple of weeks. We'll try to do something for you guys, whether it's a live stream or something. We'll try to get something for you guys.
All right. Great. Sounds good, Wayne.
All right. Later, guys.
Take care. Take care, buddy.
All right.
Mozman says real quick, I'm going to throw this out there. We have to uncouple commercial photography with recreational or expressive when talking about AI. Yeah, maybe I didn't articulate that well, and I agree, but that, the hobbyist really has nothing to lose from AI. It's only on the professional side where you're earning money. And I don't know that it has it has to worry about, the professionals have to worry about losing money, but it just
not if they keep up with technology, they won't.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the whole reason for the conversation again. And it's it's controversial no matter what, because there are people that don't want any AI in graphic representation anywhere. But then again, they love the work for movies and things like that. I mean, you just can't find a dinosaur anymore. You're going to have to do something to make it.
Well, don't they keep talking about, making one from the DNA of a woolly mammoth? I've heard that for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
We got a woolly mammoth here. We should be able to create one.
Yep. Oh, man. All right. Rot von Rat says photography died a long time ago with Photoshop. By the way, hi Chuck. Thanks, man. Yeah, there's another controversial topic to get into. No doubt about it. I think, look, as old as I am now, I can say cars died a long time ago. after 1972 was the absolute last year of any real car being made. Okay. So I can say that about automobiles. Yep.
No more stick shifts. Everything's paddle shifters.
Yeah.
Now,
you really could take that argument with just about anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's the times. I think every generation has felt like they lost so many things over time. My grandparents definitely wouldn't agree with half of the stuff that, I've been involved with or whatever, hobbies or anything else. It's back in the old days, we picked the boat up and carried the motor and the boat down to the river. And that was the best time in the world. These newfangled trailers and speedboats, I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, I think all of us, and you know what? for those of you that are a little younger, I won't say how much or how or whatever, but a little younger, get ready. You will become your parents. You say you won't, but you will become your parents.
I'll agree with that one, Chuck. I mean, I'm a young 40, and my generation was the very last generation to grow up as a teenager without the social media. And when I'm 65, 70, I'm sure I'll be sitting there talking about how these new youngsters with virtual reality and how everything's different.
Yep.
How from when I grew up, it's the same talking point for every generation. And like I said, this can go on for just about anything, really.
Yeah. So you could say photography died with film. You could say
I don't think it has.
No, I don't either.
I don't think it's died at all.
But you could say that.
Right.
You could say that it died with DSLRs even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but the bottom line is
it's just evolving.
Yes.
It's just evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could say, remember when we used to actually write letters and put them in the mail?
How about when we actually had phone calls where we talked to people and they couldn't misinterpret my texting because I'm an idiot? So even with my stepdaughter, who is lovely, I love her to death. When she calls and says, "Hey, I'd like to do this," or not calls, whoa, back up. She texts me, "Hey, I'd like to RMBG Bob, whatever, all the abbreviations and everything else." And my response to her is always, "Call me." I don't even want to get into the back and forth texting. So, but that's me. That's my generation. We lived on a phone that, oh, by the way, had a cord and you could only go so far before it'd snap you back to the wall.
Yeah, Matthew Card just brought that up about the rotary phone.
Or the fact that I used to travel, from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, to home on leave, and nobody heard from me until I actually got there. Lord, that won't happen now. I mean, you got to call every 100 miles and check in or whatever. But it's amazing we actually did that kind of stuff. But yeah, everything changes, and there it is. I don't always like it, but there it is. How did I get going on that, man?
It's a show about nothing, Chuck.
There you go.
It's a show about nothing but everything.
There you go. That's right.
You just can't call it Seinfeld, because we'd be getting in trouble.
All right. So it is that time when I have three things I have to do. One, get some more coffee. Two, go to the little boys' room. And three, I got to let the cat out of the basement because I can hear him in there screaming.
And that's a big cat.
You all wanted to know that.
Better get the cat before your walls are all scratched up.
Yes. All right, gentlemen, I will be right back. I would say don't burn the house down, but with this topic, it could happen, I guess. All right. But I'll be right back, gentlemen.
I love what Terry Breedlove says about AI and how it's a huge bonus in healthcare. And I would 100% agree with that. That many people are living longer today because of the advancement in AI and technology in the healthcare field, for sure.
And RS, I have not. I just heard about the new firmware for the Z8 for the 800 PF. I have not put it on put it in the camera yet, so I need to do that tonight. I don't think it did anything too much. Something about vignetting or something, which I haven't had a problem with, but I will update it. I'm not. I know some people like to wait and see if things get screwed up or not, but I mean, I tend to put it on as soon as it comes out, as soon as I know about it anyway.
Right. See, Matthew Card also says he remembers chat and changed from ICQ to AIM and Yahoo, was AOL and all that other stuff, Facebook and Instagram today. Yeah, I agree. I mean, back in the day where you had to, plug in your modem and router, and you couldn't use your telephone at the same time as your internet because you get that noise, and it took forever just to upload your to check your mail, and so yeah, it's like going back to the whole thing of nothing's nothing's technically going away. Everything is just evolving and changing. So I disagree with the philosophy that photography is dead or dying. It's just changing. That's all.
Yeah.
And there'll always be a market and there'll always be a niche for the old school way of doing things. I mean, like I said, people are still, even though I think it's getting more expensive to do film nowadays, but there's still people doing film, you know, and there'll always be a market for
I'm one
there'll
of
always
them.
be a market for that. So, but photography is far from dead.
And Darren, yes, I apologize because we got on I don't want to say we got on a rant. We got on a pretty long discussion that didn't seem to want to end. And I did get your answer to your question that you shoot basketball when you're not doing hockey. And hey, that's by the way, one of the upcoming photo sharing weeks, you know, this Saturday coming up, or maybe the next month, maybe throw in a basketball shot.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And let's see here. Look, I'm going to look down a ways because we were kind of going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, kind of all over the place.
I'm sure we. You know, I'm sure we missed some stuff here. You know,
Wedding photographer saying how 95% of cars in Mexico are still stick shift.
Yeah. And in Europe, Europe has a lot of stick shift cars.
Well, that's one way of, I guess, not getting it stolen in the United States. Still driving a stick shift because nobody knows how to drive them anymore.
Oh, Greg Wilson. Younger generation doesn't want prints. I shot my nephew's wedding and gave them framed prints and they never put them up. They don't have any photos or artwork on the walls. It's all on the phone. Oh my God, that's horrible.
Wow, that is horrible.
My house has more pictures. I mean, I don't have every wall covered, and my wife threatens me to bump me off if I do cover them all with any more pictures. But I have a lot of pictures and artwork in the house, and the pictures are probably 90% mine. Then that could be good or bad, depending on what you like.
Right. You know, there's something different, Jeff, about printing your work compared to just putting it on a little small LCD backlit screen and it stays there forever. There's something about holding something tangible that you created, you made, framing it, putting it on your wall to be inspired by. And I think it's a lost. We tend to not want to finish the process. And I think finishing the process and printing your work, I think, is very important that I think we neglect.
Yeah, I have talked myself out of buying a high-end printer. And when I say high-end, I'm not talking $4,000. I'm talking,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, like a $1,200 printer or a $1,400 printer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly talk myself out of it because I'm like, if I don't do a print every week, I got to worry about the nozzles clogging up. I got to worry about this. I got to worry about that. Ink is so expensive. I just constantly talk myself out of it. But I just love prints. When I order a print and I look at a print, to me, it's like so much. I just feel like, okay, now this shows what I did. When I look at it on the computer, I just don't feel that same way, you know. But when I have that tangible print in my hand, and I'm going to go on a rant. The other thing that I did, and I've only done it twice in 30 years plus or whatever, is don't be afraid to make a book.
That's nice.
Don't be afraid to make a book. And when to me, like I said, digital media, you know, if I croak tomorrow, which could very well happen, who knows? But if I croak tomorrow, do I really think my wife's going to care whether she keeps my files? Right. Whether she'll know what to do with my files, whether she'll know how I have things filed, or my kids certainly won't know because they live 800 miles away. So everything I've done, if it's not printed somewhere or in a book, it'll probably just get thrown away, and no one will ever know anything about it. And I've talked about it a lot, like whether it's like a family vacation or something like that, is spend the money to make a book out of your family vacation. And then, when you're not around anymore, your kids will get that and will have that book, and they'll say, "Oh, I remember when we went to the Grand Canyon," or "I'll remember when we went to Niagara Falls," or whatever, because all your small prints in a box and all your digital files are probably going to be mishandled or thrown out by accident. And having something in print, whether it be a print or a book with images in it, to me is just something really, really important to do, to pass down to your kids. That's my rant for today. I'm done.
No,
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because there's, with the video side of everything, the photo, having a photo, something tangible, like you said, Jeff, it's something that, in case something happens, it's something that can get passed down for other people to remember. You know what I mean, and be inspired by. And a photograph will tell a story for a long, long, long time.
yeah, even film, not when I say, I'm talking movie film, 8mm. My grandparents bought an 8mm wind up film camera, a Kodak. I don't know what model or whatever, but I cherish those films, and I still keep a projector just so I can watch myself and my brother when we were little, out camping and things like that. You're right. And then photographs, of course. I've got all the photographs that my grandmother was the photographer of the family, just capturing everything that happened or whatever. I don't know. She spent a fortune on film, but yeah. And you know what? That's the one thing that I think that we can pass down to our children, and maybe it will motivate them to do the same. I think everybody's so caught up in digital is the way to go now. Everything is digital, and they act like it's there forever. And unless you really protect it, and even then, there's the chance that you lose those photos. They don't understand that. So, it is important. And I would wish everybody would do that, at least have some prints. I've got prints of my grandfather in World War II, that I have, that I couldn't guarantee 60, 70 years later, I'll have digital prints of anything that I took. So yeah, it is important. And maybe this is the one thing that we can impress upon the younger generation, is make some prints. You don't have to print everything, but make some prints. You'll thank yourself later. There you go.
This is my dad in the Navy.
Yep.
Back in World War II. And this is one of those, where they colorized it.
Yep.
Where they would, add a little color to the cheeks or whatever by hand. Mm-hmm. And I could kick myself in the head. I had a colorized image done of my children when they were young that I have downstairs. And the guy who did it was probably, he was probably in his mid 70s or late 70s. And he said to me, and we talked about photography and whatnot, and I wish I took this guy up on it. He said, if you want to learn how to do this, I'm willing to teach you. And I didn't take advantage of it, but I'll tell you, to take an image and, add the color to it, like in the old days, with the brushes and whatever they used.
Yeah.
I wish I took them up on that and learned how to do that, because, talk about, a niche, to have the skill to be able to take that image and then add some artistic approach to it by hand, not using a computer, and come up with a beautiful image is a special skill set. I mean, that was the only person I ever met that still did it, and we're going back now, 30 plus years ago. And
Yeah.
I wish I took advantage of it, because that would have been something that were maybe, you know, if you're a photographer and you do something like that, you have a niche business, and you have a growing business, and because there's nobody else left that does it anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that are slipping away that nobody does anymore. This is just one of them. But yeah, a paper print or a print is the one thing that you can guarantee will be around for years and years and years afterwards. Unless you know, it goes up in a fire or whatever. But digitally, you know, there's no guarantees that we're going to be, if we want to keep all the digital media that we have, we're in a constant state of re-uploading it to different drives, different type drives, and everything else to make sure that we don't lose it with multiple copies. As you know, I know there are a lot of people in here talk about that, backing up all these different files and whatever, which is, you know, one of the, it isn't going to last. I mean, you just can't guarantee that it will last. So, yeah, that may be one thing that we can pass on to the younger generation is don't trust digital media, at least not at this point, because I don't think there's any guarantees. And I was thinking about Terry Breedlove. You were talking about him a minute ago. Terry does a lot of print photography, a lot of film photography, different mediums even. And he's got some fantastic photos. And he's one of the few that has what he wants. So I guess where I'm going with this is, for those of you that have that, and it's there for you to take advantage of and enjoy, you know, your film photography, that's great. But you have what you want. We're still wanting, okay, on the digital side. So, you know, cut us some slack, put up with our rants, put up with our whining. You already have what you want. Don't complain about what we think we want. That's all. And oh, by the way, I have shot film. I have printed myself in my homemade garage room. So, but I don't want to do it anymore. All right, man, quite a subject today. And I hope I didn't make anybody mad playing devil's advocate, but I do believe that there's a lot of room for more conversation about this AI topic. Now, what do you guys want to move on to next? Or do you want to continue the debate on AI, good or bad? It's entirely up to you all.
This is cool. Matthew Card says he's been scanning old negatives going back to the 1930s from his grandfather. There's no way digital files would last that long. Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yep. And Mozman, great points you have made, and it's made for a very interesting conversation, by the way. And all points taken. I do go back to one thing, you know, on this camera, the Sony E1. It is the, for lack of a better term, state-of-the-art vlogging camera. And if you're into vlogging, that's all you're into, it may be worth it for you to go buy that camera. So I can't say it will or won't sell well, but I have a feeling, as strong as vlogging is, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to want to buy it, whether they need it or not, whether it makes a difference or not, just to say they have that camera. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I did the same thing. I bought the Z9. I do not use it to its full potential, not even close, but I wanted it. And there you have it.
That's still going to be a t-shirt, right, Chuck?
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Still going to be a t-shirt.
Yep. I don't need it. I want it. And
Mozman's killing it, Chuck, on the top. Mozman's killing you on the top. AI will be able to stream 24/7, no more 3-hour limits.
That's right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I see it now. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
have an AI generated body that sits in front of the camera. Yep. All right. Oh man, I wish we'd had a couple of prolific wedding photographers to weigh in. I'm curious to know what they think. I really am. All right, so back to Z8 rants. No, I'm just kidding. But I think we're going to hear something here pretty soon. I know I've said that over and over and over, but I just don't know how Nikon can delay it. And for all those that think that Nikon just started developing the Z8 and they're having to take their time with it, I beg to differ. I think the Z8's been in development since the Z9. As a matter of fact, again, I go back to there were rumors talking about the Z8 was even questioned as to whether it would come out first or come out before or after the Z9. They chose the Z9. And there's a lot of truth in, I think, what Becky is saying over on Grays of Westminster. Shout out to Grays of Westminster. I enjoy watching their live streams. Even though I don't enjoy so much the film portions, but I'm not going to begrudge the film shooters because they enjoy it.
David Stewart says, I don't need a Z8, but I ordered one anyway. Watching Chuck is expensive, but worth it.
Thanks, David. Thanks. And yeah, that's the last thing I want to be is an influencer. But Becky said, the higher end models are what Nikon seems to prefer to put out first. And a lot of people are saying the argument is, well, you'll sell a whole lot more Z6 than you will Z8s. But I think that she may be right. And also, Nikon did say over a year ago that they were going to concentrate on high-end cameras. And but then we got a Z30, so who knows? So I think the Z8 it is something that's been in development. It's probably ready to go. We have hints of, in rumors, the camera already being in the hands of some people. So we'll wait and see. But Nikon has to get something out here real soon because regardless of what people think, there are folks that are actually jumping ship. And I don't want to see that happen to Nikon. There's no reason for that. And I think you guys give them too much credit on, well, they're making it perfect. They're doing this, they're doing that. I think it's just Nikon being Nikon. That's who Nikon is. And they're going to continue to be who they are. And we can continue to hound them and maybe it will hurry them up. All right. Enough of that. I don't want to get everybody shooting at me again. Well, I hit the, where'd it go? Jonathan De La Rosa. He says $2,200 for that seems way overpriced by a lot, like over $1,000. Agreed, 100%. But it doesn't mean nobody's going to buy it. I mean, it is a bit different. It is, I would consider it the flagship right now of vlogging cameras. Others may disagree, especially people that own something different and don't want to hear it. But it looks like that's going to be a pretty prolific vlogging camera. Do you need it? I don't. Maybe somebody else does. But more importantly, does somebody else want it? And maybe they do. And I think it will sell.
What surprises me is why they don't offer as an optional accessory a clip-on on the hot shoe in EV if you want it. Why don't you offer that as something you can buy? So if people want to use it to take, stills, it's more convenient. But I guess they assume that everybody that buys it is using a phone. They're used to pushing the phone to take the picture, so they don't need it. Just use the back of the camera. I guess.
Maybe it could be an accessory down the road if enough people talk about it. But you didn't hear anybody in the chat today when the phone or when the camera was announced talking about they should have an EVF, clip-on EVF or snap-on EVF or whatever, attachable EVF, because I don't think he's looking at it for that. And the other thing is too, don't forget, we have come to this point where this is how we take photos. You know, we just hold the camera out there and look at the back of the screen or whatever. And I'm not going to say that's wrong. It's all in what you want to do. But, you know, 3 points of contact on the camera, steady the camera. If you're going to shoot, you're going to get motion blur. You know, forget all that. You're preaching to the choir. They're taking photos that, I mean, these people aren't taking, you know, presidential portraits. they're just taking photos. So I guess they're happy with that.
They're snapshots. They're taking what we used to call snapshots. That's it.
Yep. Mozman, you know, I know that I have heard of, well, I haven't heard of anybody really. I mean, you know, this big surge coming to Nikon. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. Maybe with the cameras that are coming, there will be a move back to Nikon, but I've heard many more people leaving Nikon. And, you know, again, Jeff and Leslie, and you know, and I don't want anybody to attack any individual that's in our chat, our community, that decides to leave Nikon to go to something else. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, call me a petulant child, call them a petulant child. But the bottom line is the consumer gets to buy what they want. We can call them stupid, but it doesn't matter. That's where the money comes from. That's all that matters to manufacturers or anybody else. So, yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear lots of stories about people coming to Nikon, because it would give me a little more, I don't know, hope that, you know, Nikon's going to regain some of their market share. I'm not saying being number one or even number two, but Nikon has slipped considerably. And I know for a lot of different reasons, but not all negative reasons. I mean, just things happen or whatever. But yeah, I'd like to hear those stories.
I mean, I know friends that had Nikon and switched to Sony because they're birders, and they weren't happy with they couldn't afford a Z9, and they weren't happy with the AF on the lower end models, and they went to Sony.
Yep.
And one of the first things they'll say, well, I don't like the ergonomics. I like the Nikon ergonomics much better. And it was interesting. I think I put the guy in my subscription list. The guy did a review on a Sony, and I think he was a Canon shooter, and he bought a Sony and he used it. He liked the results. He liked how it worked. He did not like the ergonomics, and he actually shows a picture of his hand, and he has a big red mark on his hand because the body's so small, the bottom of the camera body, when you're holding it, dug into his palm. So he had a big red mark. His hand was all sore, and he complained about it, but he liked the pictures enough from the Sony that he still bought it anyway, which I wouldn't do. If I wouldn't do that. If I had a big red mark on my hand, and that camera would not be for me. But this guy was brave enough to buy it anyway because he liked the results. So I give him credit for doing that, but it just wouldn't be me personally. Yeah, Dwayne Patton. Yeah, Joe Mack says, yeah.
Again, Jonathan, vlogging needs seem pretty minimal. I doubt people upgrade in large numbers for $2,200. I would agree with that, but let's wait and see. Again, it may surprise you. The vlogging market is separate from the rest of the photography market. Mm-hmm. And there are those people that will buy it because this is now their flagship, you know, amongst all the brands, just because. And again, that's okay. That's what keeps camera companies in business, is people will buy. I am not going to buy it. I don't vlog or anything like that. But then again, that's the reason I'm not going to buy it. But there are people that do and will.
Hey, Chuck, what is the equivalent to that Sony camera in the Canon and Nikon realm? Is it the R50 and the Z50 or no?
There's nothing
Like for
equivalent
vlogging.
to the new.
There's nothing
not to
equivalent
the
right
new
now?
one.
Okay,
No.
yeah.
I mean, as far as quality goes and things like that,
Right,
I would assume that there are plenty of cameras that are, until we see what this camera really does. But the one thing that separates it from all other vlogging cameras is a full frame sensor.
Right, because the other ones are the Z50, the R50 is crop sensor.
They're all
And so
APS-C.
they're all crops. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for that in the beginning because they were smaller, and that's what you wanted in a vlogging camera.
Mhm.
I mean, hence the Z30. Not that other cameras can't be good vlogging cameras, but there is a market now for vlogging cameras. Otherwise, Nikon would not have made one, and they understand that.
I'd actually would probably prefer to vlog with the if I'm a Canon shooter, the Canon R7 versus, because of the video specs alone on that camera. And then hopefully they can come out with some RFS lenses, a wider one, like an 11 to 22.
Yep.
Because right now they don't have that for vlogging. So,
Which, of course, is another reason for that full frame sensor.
exactly. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, that's supposedly one of the reasons Nikon came out with that oddball 26 millimeter pancake lenses, because they say it simulates one of the standard lenses on a cell phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Ma says, good luck shooting outside without an EVF. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but
I
they
don't
seem to
either.
be able to do it. It's its own market now, I think, because everybody's a YouTuber. Everybody's creating content, whether it's travel videos. I mean, it could be any number of things out, and just people that want to go out and just vlog their activities for themselves and, others to enjoy.
It's a big thing for those that do fitness videos and cooking, showing people,
Yep.
hey, today I'm going to make my grandmother's lasagna recipe or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I can't remember his name, but there's a guy on YouTube here. Man, I can't remember his name. He vlogs everything he eats, eating out at restaurants and things like that. To me, so what? I don't care. But he's got, I don't know how many subscribers. That there are people that enjoy every time he posts one of those videos, and he's using, I don't know what he's not using his phone. He's using a camera. I can't remember what he's using right now.
I like what Matthew Card just said too in the chat, is that a lot are using GoPros. I think there's a good chunk of social media creators that are also using GoPros. It's not just the DSLRs or mirrorless cameras.
I think GoPros are more for the B-roll. And if you're not into photography or vlogging or anything else, you don't understand, but they're more for B-roll. Because, and I know that GoPro has the ability to attach a microphone, but it's not near as convenient.
Right.
And that's one of these things. That's one of the things about these vlogging cameras is, one, built-in microphones are getting better. And, even the Sony what is it? EVV or ZVV1. Yeah, man, there's too many Z's and V's. Yeah. I mean, the onboard microphone's decent enough to actually use. Plus, you have the ability to attach a microphone. So,
what's that? That portable also vlogging DJI came out with it.
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called now, but
there are a lot of those little handheld stick vlogging cameras. Yeah, and they're being used as well. But I don't know. Evidently Sony saw an opportunity there, and I guess they'll make or break themselves on this camera. But it'll be interesting to see. Again, I am not interested in it at all. There's nothing about it that I'm interested in. It's not because it's Sony. It's just because, I wasn't interested in the Z30, although I think it's a cool camera. And obviously Nikon, has been able to sell those cameras, but I'm not into vlogging, and there you go. I think we try to determine whether something's a success or not, even though we're not even participating in that genre. You can't speak for the people that are doing it and determine what they're going to get or what they're not going to get. To them, this may be the most important camera of the year. I don't know. For us in the mirrorless camera technology, I don't know what we would consider the camera of the year. We still got a long time to go before we have to worry about that. But, we're looking forward to something. Canon Camp, everybody's looking forward to the R5 II and the R1. Nikon Camp, well, we're looking for anything. Just kidding. Don't get angry at me.
Don't word it that way, Chuck. They'll come out with a new camera strap.
Yeah. Why can't you use what you have? I can, and I do use what I have. It doesn't mean I don't want more. There you have it. And in the Sony camp, there are people over there that are looking for upgrades to an A1 and even another iteration of maybe the A9. So every camp has something that they want, they're looking forward to. And I think in the vloggers may not be as brand specific, because as you guys have talked about, using the GoPro, the little DJI, and there are some others that are out there as well, cameras, but this may be for them. I guarantee you, there are already people that are saying, I want it. I got to get it. As soon as it's out, I want it, or whatever. And we don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to us. But you know what? To Sony, as long as they're getting the cha-ching, that's all they care about.
Darren Francis asks the question, do we think videography is overtaking stills photography? He says, I believe in sports it is. These days, clients want you to do both. Boy, I'll tell you, it's, with a diminishing print, with a diminishing magazine market, it's a lot of people actually just watch a lot of content on the internet, in which case obviously video is going to be a preference when it comes to that. That's a tough one, whether it's overtaking it or not. I mean, it's just another way of telling a story. I mean, Sports Illustrated still is hanging in there, and ESPN magazine and stuff like that for sports, but how long, who knows? I mean, printed media is definitely a lot of companies, a lot of magazines have gone away. So I don't know the answer to that question. To me, for what I'm doing just for fun, is I'm primarily a stills guy, but I've embraced video. I never thought I'd be doing video since the days of having a camera on my shoulder, filming my kids when they were young. But I think it enhances the storyline for me on my channel to have a mix of both video and stills. But I wouldn't just do all stills typically. Sometimes I do, but I try to mix it up for the most part. But that's just me. But I don't know what the other folks here think, but that's my opinion.
Hey, Jay Kimmer, yeah, I agree with you. All 43 vloggers on YouTube are saying they want it. Yeah. But I feel the same way about all the ZF shooters, all 18 of them that are voicing their opinion on getting a ZF full frame. Oh, man. And Leon says, and he's a Sony shooter. I think most of you guys know that. I don't vlog, but if I did, the Z30 looks good for the money. Yeah, it is a good camera. I know. I know I got beat up about complaining about it when it came out, but it had nothing to do with the quality of the camera. It had to do with why this, why now. That's all. Which new camera are we talking about? Sony just announced this morning their new ZV-E1 full frame vlogging camera, and it is aimed at the vlogging folks. It's full frame. It's the sensor out of the A7S III, which nobody can deny is a good sensor. 24 megapixel, or no, 12 megapixel.
12 megapixel, yeah.
Yeah. So low light is supposedly fantastic. There you go. It's the new holy grail for vloggers, or we shall see if it is or not. We have determined that it is the holy grail for vloggers. We laugh now. We might be not laughing.
Crying later.
Of course, there are a lot of cameras out there that you can use for vlogging. We've already talked about that earlier. But this is breaking new ground, and Sony was the first. We shall see how it pans out. Darren Francis. Here's another. We can get into this as well. Question: do you think videography is overtaking stills photography? I believe in sports it is. These days, clients want you to do both. Yeah, I think it's becoming more commonplace in all forms of shooting. I mean, look, photojournalism, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but everybody wants to see the action too. So you can't get away from that. Video is here to stay. It's being used by all genres. Except for portraits. But then again, I have seen video portraits of people that are doing that now. It's crazy. But yeah, videography is big. Nikon realizes that. That's the reason they're into video now a whole lot more than they ever were. And if you enjoy a channel on YouTube, specifically a wildlife channel, and you enjoy the storytelling and everything that goes on in the video, well, without video, you don't get that. So if you enjoy it, then you understand why video is making a surge. Not just for that, there's all these, indie filmmakers that are out there now. Of course, they're looking at higher end cine camera stuff, but they're still using hybrids. A lot of hybrid use out there as well. So yeah, man, video is where it's at because that's where we're at in society. We want the action. We want, to be visually stimulated throughout, not just for a photo. So who knows? Chris says a full frame Z30 with IBIS would be best. Yeah. And who knows, I know Maz had said Nikon can't respond or won't respond to everything everybody else does. I agree with that, Maz. But who knows what Nikon's going to do next. Maybe they do a Z30 with the A6 or A6, the Z6 sensor. Who knows? Mosman, I sat near a food blogger at a restaurant in LA that had a tripod set up filming himself while he ate and other cameras. If the food wasn't so good, I would have left. Oh man. Yeah.
You would never want to see a video of me eating my food because my wife yells at me all the time and she says, "You eat so fast." She says, "I'm not even a third of the way done. You eat so fast." And I said, well, in the old days, people would say, "I got to eat the food fast before somebody else gets it." That used to be what people would say.
I remember the what was being yelled at me when I was in Ranger School going through the chow hall. We didn't even sit down. We made a circle and you got your food and you were eating it as you were going and you got to the trash can, you dumped what was left out. But anyway, the RI, the ranger instructor, was yelling, "Don't chew, swallow. Don't chew, swallow." So, yeah, I kind of got that habit. I had that habit for a long time too, just gulping everything down. Daryl wants to know why I haven't talked about my 85. It's not because I don't like it. I do. I have not been out and shot. I was down for a couple of days, and it was raining when I got it, of course. Or right after I got it. But yeah, I can't speak to it from every aspect, but I did shoot a little bit in the studio, and I was looking at all the people's concerns about sharpness at 1.2 wide open. And I will say that I think I saw what may be, it may not be quite as sharp as it would be at f2. Believe it or not, that's where it seems to really kick in, and a little more contrast maybe. But you know what? At 1.2, I'm not looking at it for sharpness. Again, this is one of those creative lenses. At 1.2, I want that. I won't say softness because it's not soft, but I don't care about it being razor sharp at 1.2. Does that make sense?
Dreamy looking. That's what the non-technical, right? Dreamy looking.
Yeah. So yeah. But I'll get around to it. And man, this has been a live stream week too, because I've been on a couple of live streams. People, hey, come on, join the live stream or whatever. And I try to watch all of you folks that produce content. I do my best to get around YouTube and check everybody's stuff out. I like to leave a comment. If it's a short comment that tells you something, that tells you that, man, I'm moving on to the next one. I liked yours, now moving on to the next one. So maybe I need to quit doing that. Maybe shorten the live streams, and then I'd have more time for mom and more time to go out and shoot. But anyway, no, I like what I'm doing, and I'll get out and shoot the 85. I will. Matthew Card says, yeah, what is dead is newspapers. That's so true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So much print media is going away. And social media made everyone an expert at everything. No doubt about that. And I saw a video about a 15-year-old, 15-year-olds. Why do you even send a 15-year-old to school? They already know everything. And anybody that has kids understands this, especially if you have teenagers. And he said, I called NASA and said, hey, you might want to get this kid to come help you with your programs. And they said, well, what qualifications does he or she have? And he said, well, she knows everything. 15-year-olds know everything. So, yep, even social media folks know everything, me included. And Ray chimed in after the ZF comment. Ray says, ZF gets my vote. I know there are people out there that want that camera. I just don't think it's going to sell in enough numbers just yet for Nikon to curtail other cameras that they really need to get out. And then we run into the big argument. The Z8 folks would be fighting if the ZF came out, and the APS-C Pro Body folks would be fighting if no matter what comes out before it. That's something we all have to live with within the Nikon camp until they get caught up with everything. So Nikon's going to do what is best for them at the moment, I think. You guys see any comments you want to respond to? By all means do.
Hey, Chuck, really quick. I'm actually going to have to take off. I'm going to have to pick up my kids from school here shortly. So
absolutely, man.
I just want to thank everybody in the chat. Cause like you said, Chuck, that's where it's at, man.
Yep.
Is everybody in the chat that wants to come together and, bring their knowledge and just their opinions. And even if we disagree, it's just an awesome thing to see more and more people interact and bring, something different to the table of photographers. Cause nobody wants to be around people who think the same, act the same, talk the same. That's not fun. So. But with that, I will see you guys all later. And it was great having me on. You'll probably be seeing me a lot more around. So, and take care, guys. And I will see you guys on the next one.
You guys get over and check out Kevin Nordstrom, his photography, his YouTube channel. Good tips on some of the videos I enjoy, and just his wildlife photography. So now I've got all these wildlife photography shows that I got to go visit regularly. So I need a larger cup of coffee to watch them all.
Yeah, I occasionally do and talk about gear, but I mean, I more or less try to be more on the creative side and talk more of the art of photography. And I know that's not something that really generates a lot of views. You want to grow a YouTube channel fast, start teaching photography, how to do photography, or go rent lenses every week and do studio or comparing this lens to that lens. That's how you grow, but that's just not something I want to do. And I want to be more of an encouragement to people to get out there, even if you maybe not be able to physically do it, and hopefully just be a word of encouragement to people to just go shoot and be happy and find the joy again in photography. But enough of me rambling. I gotta go pick up my kiddos. But
All
take
right,
care,
brother.
guys. I appreciate it, Jeff. Have a good one. And Chuck, hopefully you can get out soon and have fun with that new toy, because that looks like a beautiful lens. So
make sure you put out that fire in your room, by the way, before you get the kids.
oh, don't worry. It should be going to an ad soon anyways, pretty soon here. So
All right, man.
Guys, take care. Everybody, see you later in the chat. Have a good one.
Pleasure having you here, Kevin.
Yep, thank
Look
you.
forward to more.
Yep.
All right,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Leon asks, let's see. You happy though, Chuck? It looks like a sweet lens. Yeah, it is a sweet lens, and I really want to get out and shoot it. Again, it's a focal length that I don't have and want for studio work, but for outdoor portraits and other photos, just being creative with it. So I need to get with it and be creative with it, don't I?
You'll have to see how it feels when you put it on your Z6.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I did put the Z6 II, tried to tether it the other day before I actually changed the lens over to it. Didn't matter. It wouldn't tether. So there I am again. So all this tech stuff, man, I need a Steven. I need a Steven that knows tech and everything else, because you guys, I know you think I'm kidding sometimes. Well, I'm stupid, but I think you think I'm kidding sometimes when I say, I don't know how to do that. Change the security settings and whatever. I just didn't grow up that way, and I never learned it. Maybe I should have, but tech stuff just blows me away. A camera I can pick up and figure it out, or get a hold of Jeffrey and ask him.
Well, but the problem with technology is it just takes time, and when you're busy doing other things, you just don't have the time. And boy, if only we could get by on 2 hours sleep, we'd be good. But we don't look too good when we get 2 hours sleep. So
yeah. Hello, Nitin. Is that it? Is it Nitin or Nitin? I don't know. Sorry about that, but hello. Glad to see you in the chat. Yeah, exactly. And we talked about that. This is a no-brainer. Nikon doesn't have to respond to everything that everybody else does, but that's a no-brainer because we're spoiled with the D500, and everybody thinks that Nikon's always had these pro body APS-C cameras, but really we haven't. The D500 was the most prolific of any of the pro APS-C cameras. The later on, of course, Nikon started with their pro body cameras as APS-C. But anyway, yeah, it's a camera that's going to have to definitely be produced. I don't know when, but who knows what Nikon's going to do? I mean, they could surprise us all. Instead of the Z8 could be a pro body APS-C camera. Who knows? I don't think that's the case, and I have my feelings about what it is or whatever, but Nikon does have to look at the APS-C pro body because so many people are now talking about that and asking for it. I agree with you 100%.
I tell you, I would buy a ZFC for a street photography camera, but I also, would like to have something for B-roll. And unfortunately, I want to have the 10-bit, which I don't believe that camera's still an 8-bit for video. They'd have to tweak it a little bit, and I would consider it for a combination street photography / B-roll camera if they improve the video specs a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Darren, I will tell you this. At 1.2, it's tack sharp unless you pixel peep. And, I know that we as photographers want everything absolutely tack sharp or whatever when we're pixel peeping, not just the photo, but when we're pixel peeping. But, I feel pretty confident that people will never, ever know the difference. I understand that there is the possibility for cropping, but unless you're cropping at 200%, I don't think you're going to really realize that there might be, I say might be, a difference. And I know others have said that they feel that way also. But again, we as photographers we pixel peep down to the millimeter to determine sharpness. And I don't know why we do it, but I understand some people want to do it. But I don't think that you would know a difference. And it's no different than any of the other 1.2s that are out there, by the way, at least from what I've seen in comparison. And of course, the 1.8. The 1.8 is a fantastic lens, the 85 1.8. A lot of people love it. Would they love it if it was $2,000 over the 1.2? I don't think there would be as much love for it. But it is cheaper. And I think that's a big reason that I'm not getting the 1.2 because, I can save $2,000 or whatever. But you have to want to buy that lens. It's not a lens that you have to buy. You have to want to buy it. And I bought it for my own reasons because I'll tell you, the bokeh on it is fantastic. And at 1.2, I mean, there is that 2/3 stop of light over the 1.8. And, does that make a major difference all the time? No, probably less time than, I'd be shooting it in the studio. And in the studio, do I need the 1.2? No, but I'm only going to buy one lens. Why not buy the one I want that works in both situations? So that's at least for me. So tack sharp, I'll tell you what, I will get some studio shots and post them over on AP Studios AP Studios group on Facebook and let everybody compare themselves. I guess I need to figure out a way to allow them to be downloaded. I don't know how to do that. Again, I'm not a tech wizard, but let everybody determine for themselves. So there it is, man. I bought it. I'm living with it. I'm happy with it, even though I haven't completely gone through all the ins and outs of it, but I'm happy.
Well, I think a big part of that lens, Chuck, is for outdoor photography with the bokeh, the quality of the bokeh and the separation you get, wide open between the subject and the background and how creamy the background is. I think that's what that makes that lens stand out from,
And here's the thing: if people had all the money in the world, they wouldn't even be comparing the lenses. It would be, well, I'm going to get the 85 1.2. Why? Because it's 1.2. There would be no comparison. Why buy the 1.8 if you have all the money in the world? Buy the one you want. And then there will be people that can't afford it now, and they're going to hold to their guns, and they're going to say, well, I wouldn't buy it if it was whatever. I don't need it. Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But, we're back to within the photography community. There are arguments that go on in the gun community. I'll tell you that right now, over which brand, whatever. But none of them hold water, because everybody goes out and shoots, and every gun, regardless, is a bit different. Even coming off the assembly line, every other one is a little bit different for whatever reason. And, I've been through those conversations with all the shooters and everything else. But the bottom line is, in the photography community, there is more nitpicking and there is more. I don't know. Sometimes I think it is jealousy. You know, if you bought something that they really want, then instead of saying, "Hey, congratulations," they're going to. I'm not saying any of you all have said that to me. Don't get me wrong here, but I see it all the time. People that are just jealous, they can't have something. And instead of saying congratulations or yes, I would love that lens, they're going to make every excuse in the world why they would never buy that lens or that camera or whatever. I don't know why it is, but it is. And I'm not saying it's here in this chat. It isn't. But if you go over to Nikon rumors, and I'm sure it may be the same in Canon rumors, Sony rumors, or whatever, but you go over there, there are people that you can read in their statements or in their comments. They are just flat out jealous that they can't buy it. And they're going to do everything in the world to try to convince everybody else to not buy it. And that's just wrong. I don't know why we do that. And again, I'm not saying that anybody here feels that way about anybody in the chat or on the program, but why do we do that? It's just, it baffles me. I'm happy that people can get what they want when they want it. Just like Jeff and Leslie, he decided he wanted to go to Canon with the R7. I'm happy for him because it makes him happy. And that's all that matters. I may be brand loyal to Nikon myself, but I can still be happy when others buy cameras in their brand that they want or enjoy. All right. I don't want to get too sappy.
I just think in general, society has gotten to where everybody, too many people like to just tear everybody down or tear down every product, or, you know, instead of accentuating the positives, everybody has to accentuate the negatives and want to create controversy because, well, it's kind of like newspapers, right? They used to have a news channel. It was all good news and nobody watched it. You know, everybody wants to hear the bad news. Nobody wants to hear the good news. You know, so you don't ever hear a story about the guy who, you know, saved 3 kids from a burning house or something. You always just hear about, oh, 5 houses burned down. Everybody's like, hey, 5 houses burned down. I mean, I don't know what it's sad what we have become over time. It's a very negative, very negative.
Well, I don't know how we call ourselves a photography community if all we do is run other brands down and other people down and everything else. Then we're not a community. We really aren't. And if you want to separate yourself, I guess you could consider, well, we are a Canon community or a Nikon community or a Sony community. And I mean, at least then people know what they're getting into if they go there. But I would like to think that we are just a photography community. And I think everybody else out there wants to think that too. And there's no reason why we can't be. So I'm happy when people get what they want. That's fine. Now there's always banter between brands, always, but sometimes it gets too personal. And, you know, I think that we just need to guard ourselves against that. And I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying, you know, I'm not a fanboy. You know, I got to run your brand down, or I'll just go buy a new brand and then run this brand down or whatever. But yeah, man, let's be a community. You know, the thing about it is this, I think, became more prolific with the advent of YouTube and other social media as well, but really YouTube. Because when we get together, I don't think anybody cares what each other's shooting. And they may even say, let me try that or whatever. But nobody's standing around going, well, that's a piece of crap. That you know, I can't believe you bought that. You know, nobody does that. Why do they do it on social media? I don't know. And I think some of you are probably going to say, you know, keyboard cowboys and whatever.
Yeah, hide behind the keyboard. That's the that thing. Hide behind. Well, it was like when email came out, even at work, right? Before email came out in the workplace, people would have to call you up and talk to you on the actual phone, or they'd have to come downstairs if you had a, you know, I worked in a
then you can have
building. They have to come down and talk to you. Oh my God, they got to look at you face to face. As soon as email came out, the tone totally changed and got more confrontational, because easy to do that when you don't have to look the person in the eye, or actually talk to them on the phone, where you can tell how the person's voice is, whether they're kind of like insulting you while they're talking to you.
Yeah. I'm going to answer Edward here. Congratulations on your 85 1.2 Z lens, but you're going to need ND filters for during the day shots, or lowering to f1.4 or f2. Yeah, that is one way, but you know what? And again, this isn't bragging. I'm just saying the Nikon Z9 goes down to 1/32,000th of a second shutter speed. And believe it or not, I took it out the other day. Now, I won't say it was the brightest day in the world, but I could shoot at f1.2 at 1/32,000th of a second. You're talking about catching some action. You're going to freeze everything, no doubt about that. But yeah, I agree. I will need some ND filters, and I've already been looking at that. I think when I do, I have ND filters right now. I actually have 82 millimeter ND filters, but I'm looking at again, I'm lazy, and I want those new magnetic filters. You know, it's just so convenient, because I hate screwing the filters on and off and whatever. So, but you're right, Edward. I won't always be able to get away with that. Let's see. You see any comments? Make sure you jump on them, Jeffrey.
Yeah. I agree with this last comment. Portraits by Daniel. If we had to spend as much time improving our skills as artists.
That's Daniel Venter, by the way.
Okay. We had to spend as much time improving our skills as artists as we do to bring other photographers and their gear and shooting methods, we'd be excellent photographers. Yeah, I mean, you got to get out and got to get out and experiment. You got to be out and experiment. You know what amazes me is with digital, whether it's digital SLRs or mirrorless cameras. Probably old people like me, and you were so used to, when you shot film, I got to be really, really sure I want to take this picture. I got to be really, really careful how I do this picture. And, because it costs so much, basically, at the time. And then you almost have that, you get that still stays in the back of your head a little bit, and you're shooting mirrorless, and it's like, experiment, man. Don't be afraid to. It's not like it's fine. You have a few more pictures to delete. Who cares? Go out and experiment and learn something. But for an old fart like me, sometimes I get that little voice in the back of my head says, "Well, don't waste pictures." It's like, what are you talking about? I'm not wasting anything. Go out there and try different settings and try things that you never tried before. Whether it be time exposures, or do things you've never tried before, and learn your camera. I think that's a big thing, is really get to where you're one with your camera, and then you'll be really, really happy with it. The more you know how it works, the happier you're going to be.
Yeah. I don't know if we would be honest with ourselves enough to limit ourselves to 36 frames. You go out with your digital camera and you take 36 photos.
Yeah.
That's all you can take. I mean, it might be just a little test for fun for yourself. I'm going out today. I'm going to shoot whatever, but I'm only going to shoot 36 frames. And you're right. It will make you slow down and make sure your composition is right. Make sure that the trash can isn't peeking out from behind a person you're taking a photo of, or things like that. So you're right. And I do not practice my craft enough. Again, I'll be honest, I need to shoot more, and I need to make myself go shoot more. I love piddling around and shooting, but I haven't done anything lately. I'm no longer shooting any events, definitely not shooting motocross anymore, which I absolutely loved. The challenge to that was both physical and mental, of walking miles around this track and looking for possible locations for something nobody else has captured, because that's what intrigues me. It's not catching the same jump, every time that everybody else catching, but I don't do that anymore. And yeah, I'd love to go do that a whole lot more. But, with YouTube, and again, no excuses, this takes up so much of my time, and maybe more time than I should allow, because again, if, Jeffrey puts out a video, I want to go watch Jeffrey's video. And especially anybody that supports the channel, I like to go check out their work. And, I want them to feel as good about it as I feel when I get a like, on the stream. So anyway, I need to go shoot more. That's it, period. Shoot and share. That's another shirt, is shoot and share. Don't just shoot, share what you're shooting, because there are other people out there that are going to love it. And I appreciate everybody that's over on AP Studios Facebook group. Let me throw that up here real quick, only because we have some fantastic photographers over there. And man, you guys need to come check it out. And it's not, now let me say this. It's not just, all professional, wildlife shooters and things like that. There are people that are sharing their photos and because they want to, because they're happy, they're proud of what they shot. And that's exactly what this is for. It's not to come over there and get criticized or, told, well, that's stupid. Your shutter speed was too slow. And bottom line is, go over there and shoot and share. By virtue of doing that, you will get better at your craft, because you're participating in something that requires you to continue to post or whatever. So I'll throw it up here for anybody that would like to join. We have a couple of, folks over there that will accept you as members. It is a private group only because we keep out all the trash, the bots and everything else by doing that. But if you'd like to share with others like-minded, and oh, by the way, we got Canon shooters, we got Nikon shooters, we got Fuji shooters, we've got Sony shooters. I think somebody, I don't remember. I thought somebody was shooting with an OM system camera too. So anyway, if you want a safe place to go have fun, drop a photo. Here it is. I'm not plugging myself. I don't get anything for this. It's just the fun of, I do get something. I get to go over there and look at all the photos. And yes, I like all of them. So, all right.
Don't shoot where you eat. Keep vlogging out of restaurants. Yeah, I agree. Unless you're a professional food reviewer and they invite you in and you're gonna review their food, then you don't need to have a camera or a vlogging camera with you in a restaurant. That seems to be, talk about ruining the ambiance for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's my email dinging. If you hear dinging sounds, that's my computer saying I got another email.
Yeah, Edward. That's one of the things with the Z9 is that high shutter speed. That's the only time I've ever cranked that thing up to 1/32,000th of a second ever. Brian says it's six string Brian. He says motocross sessions are my favorites. Yeah, I love shooting and I really do. And I guess I had the opportunity to shoot the nationals too. So that was what was so much fun. No money in it though, I'll tell you that. That is no more. You paying your expenses to fly around the US, hotels, food, and killing yourself running around the track, and you get thanks. I can't afford the thanks doesn't pay the bills. So I had to drop that idea. All right, Daryl, maybe that's what we're going to do. Next time my stepson is going to go ride, maybe up in Milford or wherever, I'll get a hold of you. And yeah, I think it'd be fun to go out. It's fun to go out and shoot, period. But I'll definitely get a hold of you, buddy. Yeah, you know, Ray, you're absolutely right. And I'm guilty of it at times as well. I go back to Joe McNally when Vahagan had him on the show. I read his book, and one of the things that stuck with me is, and he reiterated it in the live stream, you know, you hit that moment, you're tired, you're wore out, or you're just not with it. And that is a thing, you know, you're just not in the zone. And it's nice to hear somebody that's, you know, a photographer as big as Joe McNally say that. But you know, you need to change lenses. You need to go from the 85 to the 50. I mean, for example, and you're just too lazy to do it. All you have to do is go out to the car and get the lens, but you think, no, I'll get it. And, you know, I'll just, I'll take care of it later, or it'll be okay or whatever. And it never is. So you're right. We become lazy. And it's nice to know that, you know, somebody like Joe McNally at times is like, yeah, I know I need to do this, but I'm not going to do it.
I don't feel like it.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. Let's see. So David says, if I am shooting, I'm not watching YouTube, and I'm saving on gear purchases. I shoot Olympus when my Nikons get too heavy. There you go. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Although I do get tired of the bashing, and every camera has to weigh less than a gram. You know, it's like, come on, people. Physics kind of get in the way. Electronics aren't that miniaturized yet. We don't need everything to be under, you know, 1 pound with telephoto lens and all. There are camera bodies, and there are lenses that are lighter, and, you know, go for that. Don't try to make everybody else, you know, tiny camera shooters. We just don't want to do that. Let's see.
Well, when there was a comment earlier about Sony, that some phones are better than DSLRs and mirrorless cameras now. Well, you know, you can't fight physics. I mean, you know, just the sensor size alone makes it where the phone is not going to beat a camera. And that's also assuming the camera technology doesn't evolve as phone technology evolves. Camera technology is going to keep moving forward just like phone technology is. But, you know, unless you're going to walk around with a phone the size of or use a tablet, you know, or something, you're not going to have a big enough sensor, big enough for social media. But as we said, well, nobody, I guess, does prints anymore, or not too many people. But if you're making prints, the big sensor matters.
Yeah. So Daniel says he was surprised to see that the A9 would had a shutter speed of up to 132 thousandths of a second. Yeah, man. You know, it's one of those things that a lot of people, this is like one of those things that, you know, you get a camera and it does something that seems outlandish. And for the most part, it is. But when you need it, you need it. And again, like I said, I shot outdoors yesterday. I took a few photos at 132 thousandths of a second with it, the 85 open at 1.2. So it can be done. It's probably not the best situation. And it is limited. I mean, there's a very narrow band in there where you could do it. But as far as exposure goes, so I do need ND filters. But yeah, it's funny. Some of these things that we don't care about. Now, that's another thing that I'd like to, you know, address real quick. You know, a lot of people are complaining, who needs this in the camera? Who needs that in the camera? Or I don't care. I don't even use that. I don't care if it's there or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we'll just go to not focus stacking, pixel, what is it? Pixel shift. And, you know,
200 megapixel file sizes. Yeah. No, thank you.
Look, Look, I'm not going to use it at all. Well, maybe, who knows? I shouldn't say at all, but I can't ever see using it. But, is it something that I would want taken out of a camera if it were provided? Well, who am I to say it shouldn't be in the camera? You don't have to use it, but there are people that use these things, and we all have 2 or 3 items in the camera or capabilities that I'm never going to use it. Well, just don't use it, but don't take away from everybody else. I see that quite a bit too with people. I wish they'd make a camera without that or whatever. Why? Don't think it's going to be cheaper. I think maybe some people think, well, if you get rid of pixel shift, it'll be $25 cheaper. No, 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 it won't. It's not an extra part. It's, 10 minutes of some guru programming an algorithm to make it happen or whatever. So, I don't know why we do that either. I don't know why I'm on such a rant today about, what we do behind the scenes or what we do on social media or whatever when it comes to cameras. But yeah, I'm trying to be kumbaya, man. Happiness to all photographers or whatever, which isn't typically me, but I do get tired of all those things going on. And I made a video a while back talking about how toxic YouTube can be. And I made a statement there, and I'm going to repeat it here. And you guys hold my feet to the fire on it. If I go back on anything that I'm saying here, if I, start getting personal about a YouTuber or whatever, or bashing a brand, trying to make it personal, you guys let me know. You let me know, because I do believe in everything that I'm saying as far as not being toxic, not being personal against other individuals, whether it's in chat, comment section, or whatever. So you guys hold my feet to the fire. Let me know if I cross that boundary. Leon says on the weight thing. I agree, Leon, but I think everybody wants every camera to be super small. And I understand there are people that are going to pack cameras. I still can't wrap my head around, and I'm not calling them a liar or anything else. And maybe there's some physical reasons or whatever, but I have carried, shooting motocross, by the way, and probably covering at least 10 miles around this track all day long. I've carried the D5 with the actual 200 F2. Yeah, I shot that at a motocross track. I wanted to try it and see how it went. And the 80-400 on the D850. And, I was tired at the end of the day, but I got to tell you, it's probably more from running up and down hills and around that track than it was carrying the load. So, and I'm not saying everybody should be that way, but I do get tired of I shot 4 hours today. My shoulders are, would kill me if I had to carry an old DSLR or whatever. But anyway, all right. But you know what? If that's what you want, that's fine. Just don't make all of us adopt, please.
It was funny. You talk about features you may not never ever use. I was watching a live stream last night that had it was I guess a camera shop or something, that I had never heard of before. And they had a Nikon rep, and they had a Nikon professional, and they were just talking, about camera technology and talking cameras, and people could ask any questions they want. So I asked a question about, the focus stacking. I said, okay, who predominantly uses focus stacking? And I said, landscape photographers. So the Nikon Pro responded and said, yeah, landscape photographers use it, get everything front to back in focus. And we can get in a discussion that you don't have to use focus stacking to do that. I could do it without using focus stacking. And then they said macro photographers. So then I wrote back, I says, well, I understand that macro photographers try it, but if the bug moves or you get a little breeze with the flower, it isn't going to work. And I says, I could see using focus stacking in a studio environment, indoors, no wind, no movement, everything's controlled. Now you're going to focus stack on a flower or whatever, and you're going to reap the benefits of it. And I says, but and they responded, they said, well, yeah, if the subject's moving or what you're saying, it doesn't work. So it's like, how often, I know where I live, there's always a breeze. You always have an ocean breeze. I can't take a picture of a flower if it's not moving. And there's no such thing. Flowers are always moving around. So
But I think
the bugs are always moving around.
I think that's the new technology that's coming, Jeffrey. Not necessarily in focus stacking just yet or whatever, but in pixel shift. Again, AI, it's all magic. The ability to remove or to, as it's going through the process of doing a pixel shift, not having artifacts in there from a car that may drive through the scene or whatever. I don't know how they do it. I mean, maybe you have to set it up to do that as well. But could that be something that comes with focus stacking as well? I don't know, but things are becoming magic now, it seems. But back in the day, we had to go out and put screens up and couldn't let wind blow on the tree. And we had to, back in the day. I knew that. Yeah. Talking to the new troops, the new soldiers, while I was out there in Salt Lake City doing all the instruction. And, back in the day, man, we had to run in boots and you guys get to run in tennis shoes and,
I used to have to walk to school 5 miles in the snow.
If we had to do it, then everybody else has to do it. And that's where I got called out on it and, was told it's called technology. You can embrace it or fight it. It's up to you. Oh, man.
I just thought it was kind of funny that, they latched onto a lot of macro photographers use it. But then when you make a comment about, well, the bug isn't going to sit still and the flower isn't necessarily not going to move, then they go, well, yeah, it's not so good then. Well, that's like 90% of the time,
Yeah. Hey, Jason Michaels Photography. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
That's good. Now, once again, that's a controlled environment, right? You're doing product for studio settings. Nothing's moving. Everything's controlled.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be good. Get that diamond ring, perfectly in focus, front to back.
Roy's talked about that a bit, in his product photography, the focus stacking, especially on macro items or whatever, just like you were talking about the ring or whatever. I mean, there's a whole lot more to it, obviously, than just focus stacking or whatever, but lighting is an issue as well. But he's talked about that, and that's where it really comes in handy is in product photography. I dabbled with that for a lady that had a hair salon. I think I talked about that before. I need to dig up that photo too. And you can see how bad I was at it. Although she liked it. She made a brochure out of it. Then that's all that matters. There you go.
Leon says, I bet I have a can of Raid in my bag. Well, what's funny? Well, it's not really funny. I don't want to minimize it, but when I was young, which was a few years ago, no lie, and it was published in magazines, people used to take insects and they'd catch them and they would put them in the freezer or they would put them in the refrigerator. They wouldn't always kill them, but they'd slow their metabolism down. Then they'd put them outside and take that beetle and put it on a blade of grass. And that poor beetle was so cold, it took, a few minutes for it to thaw out enough to move around again. And then they would take macro shots of it because it wasn't moving. And that was somewhat of a common thing many, many, many years ago. I mean, not very nice for the bug, but people used to actually do that, and they used to write about it in magazines as a method to get insect shots where they were sharp and there was no movement because you basically froze the bug.
hey, Demoots
Yep.
photography, he's got a dart gun. He sedates the animal and then walks out there and poses it.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm moving
Dave.
antlers
I
to the
wanted to
left
see-
20
I want to
degrees.
see if you're listening, man. Oh, man. All right. So we are closing on 3 p.m. and I think I'm going to shut it down at 3 unless you guys have more to talk about. I appreciate it. I can't believe all you folks stay in here. I say that all the time. I am honest. I don't even know why you come, but I hope you're having a good time. And I'm not just telling you all this. I say it all the time when I'm talking to people on the phone. I have no idea why people come and stay. But I'm happy that you are, because this is actually what I wanted to happen on this channel, is have a good time, have a community where everybody could come and just talk about photography, blow off steam about what you don't like or do like or whatever, with photography or videography or whatever. But I would be remiss if I didn't do this for my lovely bride who got this for Christmas. I know you all are tired of hearing that, but she loves to hear it. And I think that's about it. Enough said on that subject. But I do enjoy the likes. I'm like a kid at Christmas, I feel like, hey, that's great. People are enjoying it. So if you don't mind, drop a like if you haven't. And subscribers will take care of themselves. I don't want to be a million subscriber YouTube channel. I wouldn't know how to handle myself, and it wouldn't be any fun because it couldn't be as personal as it is now with all of us. Oh man, my life is perfect. I only come for the conflict. Oh, Maz, you're something else, man. Leon, this is one, I won't be so humble here. You're absolutely right. I am genuine, and I do, I'm as transparent as I can be. I think that's the only way you can really do this on YouTube, live streaming. If you're not genuine, you're going to get caught in whatever it is you're trying to do or whatever. So yes, I am that. And if you meet me in person, I am the same person in person as I am right here in front of this camera. But I do appreciate that. And that's the only credit I'll take. Here you go. Now here's an honest man. Well, wait a minute. Ray Powell, take care. Sorry, Ray. Here's an honest man. I stay because I'm killing time at work. There you go. That's an honest man. Thanks, Caesar. And again, I encourage that. And I don't encourage people to do something they shouldn't do at work. But my point is, I encourage people to just tune in and listen. If nothing else, I try to read the comments, but when we have a lot of people in the panel talking, I just flash the comments up there. But yeah, man, and I'm glad to hear that. And I still need to figure out how to roll this into some kind of a podcast or whatever. Again, not my forte, tech, of course. But I think there are a lot of people that would like to be able to just listen on the road or whatever, catching up instead of having to be in here for the live stream. Joe Man's Land. Joey, how you doing, buddy? Got to say hi to Joey. Joey's been busy today, or I'm sure we've been in here.
Hello, goodbye. How are you?
Moz, man, everybody's getting ready to go. Thank you all very much. Everybody's saying goodbye. Frames. Oh yeah, you show up now. You show up now. Where were you?
Yeah, we're signing off, man. We're signing off, and you pop in.
Frames, I'm just busting your chops, man. You're gonna have to get in on one of these conversations because I know you have a lot to say about a lot of these different subjects that we've been talking about. But it'd be enjoyable as well to have you in here for your point of view. And again,
nice
friends,
content, by the way, lately, very good.
Yeah, I definitely want to say thanks again for your video with the 85 1.2. That's the kind of videos I like to see. It shows more of the lens doing the work instead of your face in front of the camera for 15 minutes. Not that your face is bad, but there are some people out there like me that have bad face and nobody wants to look at me for 10 minutes and then look at the lens for 2 minutes. So anyway, great video. I enjoyed it. Very creative and everything else. So glad you popped in for a minute. Go check out Frames TM on YouTube for his 85 1.2. Is it a review or just out and about with the lens and maybe a heavier review later? I don't know, but I enjoyed watching it. It wasn't just a bunch of stats and, reading points. Yeah. All right. Ignore me.
And Jason, the topic for Saturday night is April Fool's.
Yep.
And that's photo share night. So if you haven't submitted a photo, do so.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you very much. Isn't the chat only beginning? No, it's only ending, buddy. Yeah, we've been in here since 12 o'clock or 12 p.m. Eastern time. So 3 hours ago. Right now at 3 hours. Yeah, for those, again, reiterating what Jeffrey said, all the information's down below. Check it out if you'd like to submit a photo, and we'd love to have you do that. And Saturday night, we will be going through all the photos that have been submitted. I think I have about 20 right now, which is great. So those of you that submitted multiple photos, or trying to submit multiple photos, may not be able to do all the photos you send, but I'll do what I can. We just want to make sure we have enough time to get through everybody's photo. And sometimes we get stuck on a photo for whatever reason. It's just one of those wow photos, and we've got to sit and talk about it for 10 or 15 minutes. Yes, Saturday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Yeah. Why did it have to be on April Fool's Day? Man.
If you come on and Chuck's not here, April Fools.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nita, I got yours. I don't know if I responded yet. I have half of them I still need to put in the folder, and you'll get a reply on your email letting you know that I have it ready to go. And I should be doing that this afternoon. I don't think Mama's got me scheduled for anything, but I don't know. All right. So, Jeffrey, thank you very much for being in here. It's always a pleasure to have you in. There have been some folks that have likened us to Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. I don't know. Actually, I guess we kind of fit the picture almost, don't we?
Ed used to just go. Probably did.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm a little bit better than Ed McMahon. No, and I'm not telling you can win on Publisher's House giveaway.
Yeah. No, man. And I wouldn't imply that at all. No. But I guess some of the folks have likened us to that. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks again, Jeffrey. And Kevin Nordstrom, who was in here. Everybody check out Kevin Nordstrom. I thank you, Kevin, for being in here. And the other day, Gustavo. That was such a pleasure to have Gustavo in here. So there you go, folks. Everybody can be on this show. And you know what? Just do it one of these days. Just try it. You may find a whole new genre of photography, videography by being on a live stream. And it's really easy to do. It really is. Don't worry about what you're going to say. You're going to say it when you're asked or whenever there's a comment. Just give it a try, because the more people we get in the community on the camera, the closer the community gets. So anyway, the invite is always there. It's always in the thumbnail information, and give it a try. Thank you, Yaman. Yes, please, with the likes. I appreciate that. Leon, thank you for the thanks. All right. Yes. Jason Michaels Photography. Chuck M&M's Corporation called. No, I don't know where it went. Here it is. M&M's Corporation called. They want their peanuts and chocolate back by April 1st. All right, man. All right. I got to go get some more peanut M&Ms. I am down to the bottom of the bag. I mean, the bottom. So,
Frames, where have you been, buddy? I've talked about 80% of the cameras behind me on my thanks for the memories, you know, edition that I've done on my channel. So I have talked about most of the cameras that are behind me, believe it or not.
You're telling on yourself, Frames. We're on we have a bad time slot for Frames. I understand that.
Yeah.
I wish he could meet us and join us more, but I understand. And he's got to work too. So, you know, work always gets in the way of having fun, but that's what you got to do.
Frames has great content. I like going on his channel. So
Mhm.
very
Joe
smooth,
Manplant.
very smooth.
And Yaman, Frames wants to know what country you are in. I'll let you answer that. Joe Man's Land. I think Nikon Marketing's meeting to take shelter in a bunker after all the new camera releases. How do we say that, Joe? Nicopolis? Yeah. There you go. Yep. Yeah, I mean, look, it's no secret to even Nikon. They know they have to get something going here soon. They've got to make some kind of an announcement, and I'm sure they're going to. Nikonopolis, apocalypse, blah blah blah. That's a tongue twister. Mr. Wolf, how you doing? We're just getting ready to shut down, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 hours late. I see your other comment down there. All right. All right, folks. I hate to shut it down, but I'm going to, because now that I have, you know, at least an hour before Mama grabs me, and who knows what's on the docket after that, but I'm going to try to get a couple of things done that I need to get done. And again, the photo review, Saturday night, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Get your submissions in, and I will be responding to those that I've received here, Ricky Tick. All right. Again, thanks a lot, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
Everybody
no problem.
out there, God bless you, and we'll see you again Saturday night. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.